Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. Here, we bring you fun, thrilling, and immersive novels in audio form. With a growing library of audiobooks, there's something here for every listener. Do you like Naruto fan fiction? We have it all. From powerful ninja battles to amazing sage arts and wood-style moves, or even Tsunoda's boobs, you can enjoy epic adventures anytime. Love One Piece stories? Soar through the skies with Moonwalk, sense the world with observation hockey, clash with enemies using armament hockey, spending the night with Nami and Robin, and rise to fame by unleashing your conqueror's hockey. Become a true pirate of the seas. Your adventure starts here. Want even more? You can go full Bankai. Let's go. We offer a wide range of stories, including Fairy Tales, Hunter x Hunter, High School DxD, Marvel and DC, Harry Potter, and many more. So, what are you waiting for? Jump into endless adventures today. We're waiting for you at Novel Love Hearing, Rael said calmly. I can grant someone a power called a blessing. Blessing? Both you and her mother were unfamiliar with the word. Simply put, if you obtains this power, she can turn her puberty syndrome into a type of superpower and control it herself. There's something like that? Yu's mother was amazed. So Rael really could give people superpowers. No wonder Kawasaki Saki had wanted to learn from him. Still, she felt it couldn't be so simple. Doesn't that cause problems for you, Rael-kun? No, it doesn't, Rael shook his head. But I only grant my blessing to people who are as close to me as family. Put plainly, he wouldn't casually give a blessing to just anyone. As close as family. Yu lowered her head further. Yu's mother thought of the fact that he apparently had more than one girlfriend, so she realized this might not be easily resolved. Rael then gave an additional warning. There's something else you have to know. Puberty syndrome can be both minor and quite serious. For example, if you two stay swapped too long, you might never switch back. Huh? Eh? Both mother and daughter jerked their heads up in alarm. Being stuck in each other's bodies forever would be devastating. They were about to barrage him with questions when Rael suddenly narrowed his eyes at something. Yui was about to speak, but her mom held up a hand to stop her. Being good at reading the situation, she saw that Rael seemed to be concentrating on something. Indeed, there was an urgent matter. Ding. Ariri has sent a trade request. Trade content, save her. Ding. Please choose the trade content, save her. It seemed Ariri had encountered trouble. The trade detail was vague, but Rael saw no reason not to take advantage of an open trade. He immediately accepted Ariri's only trade condition. He had thought Ariri might hesitate and confirm details, but to his surprise, she accepted almost instantly. A trade notice appeared in the group chat. Ding. Trade has begun. Trading partner, Ariri. Trade content, save her. Trade condition, body usage right once, duration, unlimited A. The startled exclamation came from Yu. What's wrong? Her mother asked. And nothing. I was just thinking how delicious mom's cooking is. She couldn't reveal the group chat incident, so Yu stuffed food in her mouth, hiding her shock at the chat's updates. Rael, meanwhile, asked Ariri directly in the group. Ariri, what's going on? Kasumajoka Utaha, what's with this trade? Didn't Ariri look fine around midday? Ariri, ugh. I don't know. I just got home, and mom tied me up. She said she wants to eat me. Please help me. Help her, too. Kawasaki Saki, huh? Your mom wants to eat you? Late at night in her room, Saki felt all her hair standing on end. She glanced back at her closet. Was it still shut or moved? Hiratsuka Shizuka, TSK, you're saying that refined, gentle Mrs. Sawamura is going to eat you? Ariri, I don't know. She's boiling water. It's super scary. Ah. Mom. She's got a knife now. Yukino shita Yukino, Rael-kun, it looks like you need to hurry over there. Yuagahama Yua. Yes, go quickly, Rael-kun. It was indeed urgent. Rael stood up. Yua, I'm heading out. If you need more details, please explain to your mom. With that, he vanished on the spot. Yu's mother looked blank. Yua, what's happening? Yu answered gravely, one of my classmates is in danger. Rael-kun went to save her. I see. It sounded quite serious. After pondering for a few seconds, Yu's mother couldn't help asking, Yu, can you tell me who Rael-kun is exactly? He's so extraordinary. That question left Yu at a loss for an immediate answer. To her, Rael was a classmate, a friend, a complicated crush, and a very powerful person. If she had to describe him to her mother. At last, Yu came up with a suitable term. He's basically a guardian, I guess? A guardian. That term evoked a grand, righteous image in Yu's mother's mind. Even Rael himself never expected to be described in such a way. Chapter 211, A Demon Possession. Ariri arrived home to find the house in total darkness. Right upon entering the living room, her mother suddenly pulled out ropes and forcibly pressed her into a chair at the dining table, tying her tightly. Huh? Mom? What are you doing? Ariri was dumbfounded, looking at her mother, who was binding her securely. She tried to struggle free, but it was useless. She had no clue why her mother would tie her up. Hey hey hey. Suddenly, Mrs. Sawamura let out a creepy, sinister laugh that sent chills down Ariri's spine. She picked up a candle, turned around, and faced Ariri. Only then did Ariri see that her mother's face had gone deathly pale and bloodless, her eyes twisted into a hideous, frightening glare. Like a monster straight out of a horror movie. Mom? A frightened Ariri called out uneasily. Are you just trying to scare me? Hey, but Mrs. Sawamura merely let out a high-pitched cackle, leaned in, and bit at Ariri's neck. Then she licked Ariri's cheek, eerily saying, Ariri, my dear, you look so delicious. Mom really wants to eat you. Mom, please, don't scare me. I'm begging you. Don't scare me. Sensing something seriously off, Ariri's face contorted in panic, her voice trembling and on the verge of tears. Such a good daughter. You'll be sure to serve your mother well, right? Hey. Mrs. Sawamura paid no mind to her pleas. She simply turned away and started boiling water. Only then did Ariri realize the house's electricity was, in fact, working. Meaning her mother's claim about a broken circuit breaker was a lie. Even scarier was that her mother kept muttering, cooking you ought to taste better than eating you raw. I'll start with the most delicious part. Your little tummy, slurp slurp. With her back turned, Mrs. Sawamura kept whispering those horrifying words that made Ariri's skin crawl, all the while slurping her saliva. Ariri was utterly terrified. This clearly wasn't just a prank. Her legs gave out beneath her. I have to call for help. Someone save me. In her fear, Ariri remembered the option of making a trade. She hesitated at first. After all, if she made a trade, she had nothing to offer except herself, which she was scared of. But when her mother turned around and flashed that eerie, ravenous look, Ariri's soul nearly fled her body. She couldn't hesitate anymore. She hastily sent a trade request to Rao. Not long after, the water came to a boil. Mrs. Sawamura picked up a nearby kitchen knife and approached Ariri. Hey, don't worry. I won't kill you outright. After all, fresh, living flesh tastes best. She lifted up Ariri's shirt, revealing in the dim glow her smooth little belly. The blade's cold gleam drew closer to Ariri's stomach. Mom. Stop. I'm Ariri. Hearing that her mother planned to butcher her alive, with the knife nearing her belly, Ariri burst into sobs. She wanted to make her mother snap out of it. Yet her crying and struggling was useless. Far from stopping, her mother didn't even slow down. Right as the blade was about to pierce her skin, a dazzling light exploded in the room. Yeah. Under the blinding glare, Mrs. Sawamura let out a piercing scream. Clang. The knife clattered to the floor. Mrs. Sawamura raised both arms to shield her eyes, shrieking wildly and staggering about as though trying to escape the bright light. She attempted to run into the bedroom, but a hand shining like the sun, the light radiating from Rao's fingertips, pressed down on her shoulder. He focused and bellowed, "Get out of her!" Here. Mrs. Sawamura twisted even more grotesquely, letting out another sharp wail. With a bit of force, Rao tore a layer of black mist from her body and tossed it casually onto the floor. Ugh! With that mass of black mist yanked out, Mrs. Sawamura's body immediately went limp. Rao held her up so she wouldn't fall. That black mist was the source of her abnormal behavior. Demon, Night Fiend, or Nightmare Demon, Level 12, Ability, Possession. It was a demon capable of possessing people. Here. Shrieking, the black mist contorted and finally turned into a hideous, semi-female, half-monster creature resembling a banshee. It eyed Rao warily. In a harsh, rasping woman's voice, it asked, Who are you? At the same time, it tried to avoid the light. Clearly it was afraid of brightness. Thus the name Night Fiend was no coincidence. Hey, you don't need to know who I am. Just die. He had no interest in such trash. Feeling the magic within its body, he recognized it originated from the Holy Cross continent of Antaila, and it posed some threat. But no matter what its goal, fear harvesting or worse, it was doomed in his presence. Unlike the other demon that kidnapped Kawasaki Saki, this creature had no luck. The moment it realized it was about to die, the Night Fiend instinctively tried to flee. But it didn't even manage to turn around. Bang! A beam of light punched through its body, obliterating it into fragments in 1 second. Ariri, having witnessed the entire scene, was speechless. Rao waved his hand, restoring the overhead lights to normal brightness. He laid Mrs. Sawamura flat on the sofa, confirming she was all right, then approached a silent Ariri. Casually, he burned away the ropes binding her tight. Ariri, you. He was about to ask if she was okay, but Ariri lunged and clung to him. You are. Finally, she broke down crying. Rao could feel her small body trembling violently. The chair and floor showed damp patches. Apparently, she was so terrified she'd lost control. She was still shaken to the core, so Rao lifted her, sobbing and clinging to him, onto his lap as he sat in a chair. He didn't mind the wet seat, giving Ariri the safest, most comfortable position to sob her heart out. He simply held her, saying nothing, allowing her to release her fear. While Ariri cried, Rao was not idle. He shifted his attention to the chat group. The emergency was over, but people were discussing the trade. Friran, Ariri. A person who's not actually in our chat group. Sakobujujima, seems to be a classmate of Rao's in his world. Hajiri Kasuga, if she initiated a rescue request, something must have happened. Shino Aragi, Rao, any chance of a live stream? Rao, no broadcast, but it's already settled. Akam, that was fast. It's been less than 3 minutes since the trade request. Friran, I heard men aren't supposed to be called fast. Akam, huh? Why? Suai, is that some weird saying? Aizawa Shizu, I've never heard of it. Sakura Jimamai. Taru, Humphrey, Rao-kun isn't fast. He's super enduring. Kato Megumi, let's not talk about that. Yamagawa I am, eh? Well, everyone will know it after experiencing it. Stella, who wants experience? Damn it. Friran, I thought you were all used to this. Alright, guess I'll save other topics for later. Too bad. Stella, better you never mention them. Seeing the conversation go off track again, Yukino Shita Yukino, wanting details, took it upon herself to intervene. Yukino Shita Yukino, Rao, how's Ariri now? Everyone seems concerned. Rao, she's safe now. Rao, basically, her mom got possessed by a demon and tried to eat Ariri. The demon's been dealt with. Friran, a demon that eats people. My detection flags are off the charts. Rao, calm down, it's not your standard demon race. Some creature from another world. Friran, it seems your world isn't very peaceful either. Rao, it's getting more chaotic by the day. He turned to his own world's group chat. Rao, everyone, if you notice anything suspicious, be on guard. Let me know or initiate a trade promptly. Otherwise I may be too late to help. Machida Sanoko, TCH, a demon that can possess people. This world's getting scarier and scarier. Kasumajoka Utaha, is there no way to eliminate that kind of danger permanently? Rao, contact with other worlds is irreversible. The only way to wipe it out at the source is to actually go to that world. Hiratsuka Shizuka, how do you destroy it at the source? Rao, erasing that world entirely is obviously the simplest option. Miro Yumiko, Kobashi, Rao. That's a terrifying thing to say with such a casual expression. Rao, it's just the most convenient method. Anyway, stay alert. Kato Hiromi, Megumi, be careful. Kato Megumi, sis, worry about yourself instead. I'm pretty strong now. Kato Hiromi, no matter how strong you are, you're still my little sister. It's natural I worry. Kato Megumi. Okay, I'll be careful. Yukino Shita Yukino. Watching the Kato sisters' interaction, Yukino Shita felt a faint twinge of envy. She too wished she could communicate with her own big sister that way. But that was impossible. Chapter 212, A Mother's Worry. About 5 minutes passed. Ariri's loud crying gradually subsided to intermittent sobbing. Rao gently patted her back and asked, feeling calmer now? Yes. Though Ariri, who was clinging tight to Rao, was still trembling, she had at least soothed her terror somewhat. Suddenly, she recalled her mother's situation and hastily wiped her tears. How's my mom? Don't worry. Mrs. Sawamura is fine. Rao reassured her, she was just possessed by a demon from another world called a night fiend. Now that the demon's dead, your mother's body is unharmed. Then, with a playful look, he teased, instead of fretting about your mom, shouldn't you worry more about you and me? He pointed at his pants and shoulder, which were visibly damp with wet stains. Part from her tears, part from other fluids. The same for Ariri herself. Don't you feel a little chilly in certain places? Ariri naturally realized what had happened. Social death. She turned ashen, like her soul had left her body. Hey. Sometimes, when people are pushed to the brink of despair, they let out a weird laugh. Just like Ariri right now. Hey. I'm so embarrassed, I can't go on living. Showing such a mortifying appearance in front of the boy she liked. She might as well die. In response, Rao, gently pinching her nose, put on an exasperated look, you can't die yet. Don't forget our trade. That reminder made Ariri recall she was the one who initiated the trade and had been rescued by Rao. Her gaze fell on the trade info, specifically on the trade condition, body usage rights once. Seeing those words, Ariri felt her entire body burning up, her mind on the verge of shorting out. Do we really have to dot that? She had never experienced anything of the sort. This unknown frightened her. Big teary eyes pleaded with Rao, I'm scared of it. I'm afraid I can't help you there, he replied. Rules are rules. And I doubt you want to make things difficult for me, right? Rao politely tossed the final say to Ariri. Then he added, besides, I didn't complain about your accident wetting my clothes. Could it be you're disdaining me? Ugh. Mentioning her accident-induced incontinence once again, Ariri nearly burst into steam. She was still perched on Rao's lap, so at once, she jumped down and stumbled a bit. I'm going to go shower. Jay, just wait for me. With that, she clutched her skirt and hurried toward the bathroom. Not long after Ariri entered the bathroom, the figure on the sofa, Kori Sawamura, regained consciousness. Pressing her hand to her slightly sore head, she sat up. Alright, what the fuck, author? Is it I or Kori? What happened to me? Mrs. Sawamura, do you remember what just occurred? Rao walked over to her. Rao-kun? Why are you? Ugh. Mid-sentence, Mrs. Sawamura clutched her temple in pain. After a moment, she slowly recalled what happened, including what she had done to Ariri. Ariri? How's Ariri? She had nearly heard her own Ariri. Alarmed, she scanned the room. Mrs. Sawamura, Ariri has calmed down. She's taking a bath now. Phew. I'm so glad Ariri is all right. Hearing her daughter was unharmed, Mrs. Sawamura breathed relief. If anything had happened to Ariri, she'd never have forgiven herself. Rao-kun, what on earth happened to me? She now realized how abnormal her state had been. Rao gave a concise explanation. You were possessed by a demon from another world. The demon's dead now, so you're safe. Just get some rest. A demon. Knowing Rao mentioned demons, she was still horrified by actually experiencing it firsthand. Thank you, Rao-kun, for saving me and Ariri. If not for you, she couldn't bear imagining the outcome. I appreciate your thanks, said Rao. But rushing here wasn't free. Arms folded, he said bluntly, Ariri already decided to pay the fee for it. A fee? Money. If it was money, Mrs. Sawamura didn't mind. Their family still had plenty. Staying alive was worth any price. But Rao shook his head, not money. Ariri herself. Huh? She froze. Ariri herself was the payment? What does that mean? Rao didn't explain much, he simply took the quickest route. Ding. You have chosen in the group sub-chat to grant a role to Kori Sawamura. This. Mrs. Sawamura looked in astonishment at the group chat before her eyes. The knowledge streaming into her mind explained what a trade was. Ariri and Rao-kun have made a trade. She realized now why Rao had said it wasn't money she'd be paying. As she further understood the chat's powers, she was even more stunned by Rao's abilities. Reading Ariri's Save Me entry, she could imagine how terrified her daughter must have been. Mrs. Sawamura's heart ached. But one thing left her perplexed. Rao-kun, this condition. Body usage rights. What exactly does it mean? It was what Ariri offered as payment. Looking at Rao's calm expression, she saw him respond evenly. Frankly, I don't need to say it. You must have a clue, right? Yes, she had already guessed. Having Rao confirm it left her expression complicated. The deal had already begun. Mrs. Sawamura was a sensible person. Realizing the uniqueness of Rao in this group chat, she didn't say anything about canceling the trade. Instead, she breathed a sigh, as if letting go. Rao-kun, I'm in no position to interfere further. But there's something I'd like clarified. Go ahead. I'll answer if I can. Mrs. Sawamura asked gravely, Rao-kun, what do you think of Ariri? She could easily tell her daughter had feelings for Rao. But given Rao's special circumstances and his varied romantic life, she hoped this deal would not be merely a cold contract, but perhaps a chance to form a new relationship. Chapter 213, Ariri. Why did Kori Sawamura want to actively matchmake Rao and Ariri? Because both she and Ariri knew how tangled Rao's feelings were. Yet strangely enough, neither of them felt any dislike for the other love interests. In fact, she herself, out of a certain selfish motive, even nudged Ariri to seize her future with Rao. Regardless, Ariri was going to give her first time to Rao. Mrs. Sawamura didn't see a problem with that. She actually viewed it as a chance for her dear daughter to open up and make her decision. If they truly ended up together, maybe she herself could often see Rao as well. As Mrs. Sawamura was absent-mindedly thinking about Rao, the words "marry me" flashed through her mind. Preparing to answer her question, Rao apparently didn't notice her distraction and spoke bluntly, Mrs. Sawamura, I really like Ariri. If she needs it, I'm willing to take responsibility for her for the rest of her life. Maybe the next half of her life. Ahem. Right after he said that, a coughing noise came from the bathroom. Not far inside the bathroom door, Ariri crouched on the floor, her face burning with embarrassment. What did she just hear? Rao-kun said he liked her. He'd even accept responsibility for her. The shy, anxious Ariri felt as though her heart might float away. Outside, Rao and Mrs. Sawamura exchanged glances, each knowing Ariri had been eavesdropping. Hearing Rao's response, Mrs. Sawamura let out a subtle sigh of relief. At least it wasn't one-sided on Ariri's part. But Rao, all of a sudden, took a step forward and whispered softly by Mrs. Sawamura's ear, however, I'll also take responsibility for Mrs. Sawamura's future. A warm breath brushed her ear. Because the words were so shocking, Mrs. Sawamura's knees weakened. Rao, noticing her condition, stepped back with a faint smile, if Mrs. Sawamura doesn't mind. Don't lock your bedroom door tonight. After delivering that heavily suggestive remark, Mrs. Sawamura's heart nearly pounded out of her chest. Her legs trembling, she involuntarily stumbled back against the bathroom door. Ariri asked, Huh? What's going on out there? She quickly hid her body, wondering if Rao was about to come in or something. She wasn't afraid. Strangely, she almost felt a hint of anticipation. But her hopes went unfulfilled. Clack. The door opened and was just as swiftly closed. By her mother. Mom? Your face is all red and panicked. Are you feeling unwell? Ariri hurried over in small steps. If you're truly unwell, you must let Rao-kun take a look. She worried her mother might be suffering some after effects of demon possession or something. And no. Corey forced a smile, wiping her disheveled hair, guiltily masking her nerves. Terrified that her abnormal state might show, she stiffly changed the subject. Ariri, I heard about your trade with Rao-kun. Eep. Although the topic shift was awkward, it struck Ariri's most sensitive spot. Mom. Ariri couldn't bring herself to look at Corey's eyes. Seeing that her diversion had succeeded, Corey heaved a sigh of relief. Then she gave a cryptic smile. Well then, let's have a nice chat about that, shall we? Half an hour later, the two of them left the bathroom together. For various reasons, neither dared look directly at Rao. Corey, feigning fatigue, yawned. Ariri, Rao-kun. I'm a bit tired. I'll rest a while, you two talk. She willingly returned to her bedroom, leaving space for Ariri and Rao. Before leaving, she even gave Ariri a glance of encouragement. They discussed a lot in the bathroom, with Corey exposing all of Ariri's inner feelings, analyzing precisely what Ariri thought of Rao. Clutching her towel, a blushing Ariri hung her head low. Confirming that her mother had gone off to her own room, Ariri mustered courage. Rao-kun, would you like to shower first? Hey, no need. Rao strode up and leaned in, speaking softly. Ariri, are you ready? Ariri's mouth went dry, she couldn't form words. All she could do was boldly rise on tiptoe and peck a quick kiss at the corner of Rao's mouth. MMPH. But before she regained her balance, Rao easily swept her into his arms. That's the answer I was hoping for. Next, I'll show you what a new world is like. With that, he carried Ariri to the bedroom. In just moments, Rao's practiced gentleness opened Ariri's body and heart. Losing the towel meant she was like an irresistible delicacy, exactly as Corey had described. Her dewy eyes stared into Rao's, her cheeks rosy like cherries inviting one to take a bite. Yet at the crucial instant, Rao didn't continue. Instead, he tugged Ariri's hair lightly and spoke in a gentle voice. Ariri, now that we're at this point, is there anything you haven't told me? From start to finish, she'd done nothing but shyly moan. He wanted more than a one-time trade, he meant to use this chance to thoroughly claim this tsundere girl. He wanted her to speak from the heart. Feeling his riding whale ready to dive into the sea at any second, Ariri's entire body burned. She didn't dare meet his gaze. But Rao cradled her face in both hands, making her look straight at him. Ariri, there's only this one chance. Otherwise, this will just be a normal trade. Rao moved a bit to remind her. Ariri trembled all over. Trade. She remembered the heart-to-heart talk with her mother in the bathroom. Phew. Exhaling, Ariri steeled herself to voice her true feelings. Rao-kun. I like you. I don't want our connection to be just a trade. She mustered her courage. I heard everything you said to Mom outside the bathroom. When you said you'd take responsibility. Is that real? Clenching her fists, Ariri felt her heart pounding in turmoil, terribly afraid her confession might be rejected. Rao didn't answer immediately. Instead, he guided her fingers, interlocking them with his, then lifted them. Ariri, Haven't you realized how much I like you by now? Ugh. Ayuri bit her lip. She could definitely feel it. He had mounted his whale, about to plunge into the sea. Rao gave a grin. That's your answer. I'll take responsibility. But right now, what I want most is to let Ayuri experience my... Reader, please continue. Chapter 214, Mrs. Sawamura, Yua's frustration. Late at night. Rao quietly stepped out of Ayuri's bedroom. In the darkness, he walked steadily to Kori Sawamura's room. His right hand rested on the doorknob. He gently pressed down. Click. Inside the pitch-black room, Kori, who had been completely unable to fall asleep, heard the doorknob turn, and her heart pounded violently. At that moment, she suddenly regretted it. Why hadn't she locked the door? It was as if she was really waiting for something. The truth was, she was indeed expecting Rao to come. She just didn't dare to admit it. Originally, she planned to pretend she had simply forgotten to lock the door and sleep through the night until morning. But she couldn't sleep at all. Now, the door handle had moved. He was coming. That meant Ayuri was already done. Kori's mind went blank. Should she back out now? Because all of this wasn't right. Creak. The faint noise in the dark told Kori that the door had been fully pushed open. Click. The sound of the door locking behind him followed. She instinctively clutched the blanket tightly. She wanted to say something to stop this, but her body's instincts were suppressing her rationality. When the footsteps reached the bedside, Kori felt a warmth less than 10 centimeters away from her face. A subtle, distinct scent drifted to her nose. She knew exactly what it was. Why was he so close to her face? Shame burned inside her. Even though it was dark, she still felt unbearably exposed. Before she could speak, Rao spoke first in the dark. Kori, Ayuri has already fallen asleep. She's very cute. Kori was stunned. Asleep? Was he implying he had already done so much that she had passed out? That's too exaggerated. She had taught Ayuri a lot in the bath earlier. She had explained everything she knew from books about such things. But none of those books had mentioned passing out from it. She held her breath, pretending to sleep, refusing to answer. Hey. Whether she was awake or not, Rao knew perfectly well. But since he had entered the room unopposed, it meant she had considered this possibility. Perhaps, at the last moment, she was hesitating. But Rao knew how to make her stop hesitating. Even so, he decided to respect Kori's choice one last time. Kori, I'll wait for 10 seconds. If you don't reach for your future in 10 seconds, I'll leave. This will all be a misunderstanding. After saying this, he started counting down. 10, 9, 8. Each number pounded against Kori's heart. Reach for the future. That was exactly what she had taught Ayuri. And now, she was being given the same choice. She had also taught Ayuri to recognize her true feelings. Now, it was her turn. Kori couldn't help but reflect on her life. Living with Ayuri was a happy thing. But as a single mother on the surface, she had to face something else. That was loneliness. Was she lonely? As someone who had never been with anyone, of course she experienced normal human desires. Especially as she grew older. It was only natural that she, too, felt lonely. She had wanted to have a man she could rely on. She had simply buried that loneliness deep inside herself. Until she met Rao. Unexpected encounters, unexpected intimacy. They had opened up the loneliness she had sealed away. Thinking back, perhaps this very loneliness was what had led to this moment. 3, 2, 1. As Rao finished counting down, Kori let go of her hesitation and reached for her future. Rao-kun, you really are a bad man. She was no longer pretending to be asleep. Rao grinned, not denying it in the slightest. I really am quite bad. Too bad. You set your sights on the worst one of all. Since Kori had made her decision, he saw no need for any more restraint. Kori, you need me to take responsibility too, don't you? No. As long as Ayuri is happy, that's enough. Even as she was held in his arms, Kori was still thinking of Ayuri. But Rao was firm. No, I mean, you need to take responsibility. I'll be responsible too. Rao-kun. His assertiveness made Kori's heart melt with a sweetness she had never experienced before. It seemed she had really found a man she could rely on. And now, that bad man only wanted to show her what One Piece really meant. Meanwhile, is Rao-kun not coming back? Mrs. Uegahama, having waited half the night, asked Yua curiously. Yua pressed her lips together, feeling uncomfortable. Yeah, Mom. Her mind was full of what Rao was doing at that moment. She was not happy. She was very, very unhappy. Yua. Noticing her daughter's bad mood, Mrs. Uegahama wasn't sure how to comfort her. Mom, I'm tired. Yua didn't explain. She just walked to her room, feeling dejected. After Yua closed the door, Mrs. Uegahama sighed deeply. So Yua's adolescent troubles are related to Rei-ao. And it's about feelings. This is a hard problem to solve. She felt powerless to help. The next morning, Mrs. Uegahama woke up exhausted. She had thought about Yua's situation for a long time before finally falling asleep. Her conclusion? Yua had to figure out her feelings herself. There was nothing she could do. Sigh. With a soft sigh, she got up. But the moment she sat up, she froze. The decorations around her weren't her room. This was Yua's room. Why am I in Yua's room? She distinctly remembered going back to her own room after washing up last night. Then suddenly, she realized something was wrong. She lifted her arms. This familiar sensation. This was her body. I'm back? Mrs. Uegahama's eyes lit up with joy. But then, her smile faded. Looking down at her nearly naked self, the discomfort between her legs, the traces on the bed, and the scattered tissues lying around. Mrs. Uegahama fell into deep thought. Her face turned crimson in an instant. Equal parts rage and humiliation. Yua. She actually did something like this using my body. Breathe. Stay calm. I have to stay calm. After almost storming into Yua's room to lecture her, Mrs. Uegahama forcibly collected herself. Thinking about Yua's mood lately, she could barely understand. After all, people need an outlet for stress. Even she wasn't exempt from that. But the real question was, did Yua go too far? After confirming that her body was still intact, Mrs. Uegahama let out a relieved sigh and her anger dissipated. But her expression turned bitter. How are we ever going to have a normal conversation again? Chapter 215, New Members. Ice Princess and Railgun. Rei-ao-kun, I can't eat anymore. Lying on the bed, Ariri mumbled sleepily, turning over and noticing the emptiness beside her. She suddenly opened her eyes. The room was empty. Where was Rei-ao? Her body told her that everything from last night wasn't just a dream. But now, with Rei-ao missing, a sense of panic crept into her heart. She hurriedly got up, not even bothering to put on clothes, and ran out of the bedroom barefoot. Rei-ao-kun? Her anxious voice rang out from her sore, delicate lips. As she reached the living room, she finally saw the person she had been looking for. He was in the kitchen. Ariri, I'm making breakfast for you. Go back and rest. Rei-ao, standing at the counter, turned his head. Seeing a very nervous Ariri who had forgotten to put on clothes, he smirked and said, Aren't you worried about catching a cold, running around like that? Ugh. Seeing Rei-ao there, Ariri sighed in relief, her earlier fear dissipating. At the same time, she realized her embarrassing state. Her cheeks turned beet red in an instant. Even though she had already crossed the line, moments like this were still unbearably shameful. Letting out a whimper, she turned and fled back to her room. Rei-ao glanced down at Kori Sawamura, who was enjoying the real breakfast he had prepared, and teasingly remarked, Ariri is just as impatient as you. Kori couldn't argue, only blinking her seductive eyes while savoring the future she had seized. Older women were truly wonderful. Rei-ao had to admit. He really liked them. Their experience, charm, and responsiveness made them even more alluring after being properly awakened. At the breakfast table. Eat slower, no one's stealing your food. Ariri, head down, was eating quickly. Not because the food was particularly delicious, but because she was too shy to face Rei-ao and Kori's gazes. That was just her personality. Still easily embarrassed. Kori, on the other hand, was much more composed. Under the table, her fingers were quietly interlocked with Rei-ao's, though her face showed no reaction. Rei-ao smiled and asked, Ariri, if you're feeling unwell, you should take the day off. Feeling underestimated, Ariri lifted her head, glared at him, and proudly declared, I'm not that weak. Rei-ao just chuckled. She was limping when she walked, yet she claimed she wasn't weak. If he hadn't been careful last night, she wouldn't even be able to get out of bed today. Ariri scooted her chair closer to Rei-ao. Feed me. She opened her cherry-pink lips, looking as if she'd get mad if Rei-ao didn't feed her. She just wanted to experience intimate couple interactions. Rei-ao chuckled. Of course, he didn't mind indulging in a little feeding play. So, like he was feeding a small animal, he fed Ariri piece by piece. Ariri looked like a fool, happily chewing while gazing sweetly at Rei-ao's face. Kori watched silently, sighing inwardly, it's only been a day, and my Ariri has changed completely. She's been utterly conquered by Rei-ao. Of course, she herself wasn't much better. Perhaps even more thoroughly. After falling for him, she found herself completely unable to resist. Ariri, actually, there's something I need to tell you. Rei-ao suddenly softened his gaze and spoke. Ariri listened obediently. Look this way. Following his voice, she lifted her head. The next moment, her brain buzzed. Right before her eyes, Rao kissed Corey. To an outsider, it might have seemed like a simple, intimate kiss between lovers. But to Ariri, it shattered her world. The impact was like a bolt of lightning striking her. Simply because of who Corey was. What is this? Ariri rubbed her eyes, her voice trembling. Am I dreaming? Ariri. I'm sorry. After the kiss, Corey's face was full of guilt. This was a decision she made under Rao's persuasion. To not hide the truth and to tell Ariri everything. The reason was simple, Rao wanted to go big. But at the same time, Corey truly didn't want to keep it a secret. Why? At this moment, Ariri refused to accept reality. They had already anticipated this reaction. Rao glanced at Corey, who nodded, then he stood up. Corey, I'll leave Ariri to you. Now was not the time for him to be present. He believed Corey would handle this well. Leaving Ariri's house, Rao headed directly for school. Of course, he wasn't just idly making his way there. Because at this very moment, 2 new members had joined the chat group. Ding. Shiba Miyuki has joined the chat group. Ding. Misaka Mikoto has joined the chat group. These 2 names truly surprised Rao. Name, Shiba Miyuki. Level, 19. Abilities, Thought Particle Magic. Equipment, Thought Particle CAD from the Irregular at Magic High School. The male protagonist's younger sister. Name, Misaka Mikoto. Level, 28. Abilities, Electro Master O. The famous railgun herself. Seems like I should give the newcomers a proper welcome. Rao, Shiba Miyuki, Misaka Mikoto, welcome to the chat group. Frieren, more new members again. Sakurajima, before discussing them, Rao, where exactly are you right now? Rao, just left Ariri's house, heading to school. Sakurajima, come find me when you get to school. Kato Megumi, my senpai sounds really angry. Stella, hey, well, her boyfriend just openly cheated on her. Give him a good lesson. I support you. Yukino Shita Yukino, everyone, let's be mindful. We have new members. Shiba Miyuki, hello, everyone. I'm Shiba Miyuki. Nice to meet you all. Mabel, hello. From now on, stick with me. I'll look after you. Rao, oh? You actually remember to talk in the group now? I thought you'd still be recovering from the days you spent unconscious after that night. Mabel, you perverted scoundrel. Just seeing Rao made Mabel's face flush red. She really had not passed out that night. But she had endured an overwhelming ordeal that left her physically sore for days. Just thinking about that crazy experience sent shivers down her spine, making her squirm uncomfortably. Rao, oh? So you dare call your sponsor a scoundrel? Fine, I'll come check up on you later. Mabel, I'm not scared of you. Yukino will protect me. Yukino Shita Yukino. Yukino was speechless. You two are in a purely transactional relationship. Logically, I shouldn't get involved in this at all. Besides, who told you to accept being sponsored in the first place? Chapter 216, Beautiful. Yes. National Magic University affiliated First High School. A prestigious national public high school dedicated to the education and training of modern magicians. Located in Hikoji, Tokyo, this school is an official National Institute for Magic Education, affiliated with the National Magic University. Magic. This is not a myth. Rather, it is a modern scientific technology. Magic has been actively used for over a century. What was once referred to as superpowers has now been systematized under the name magic. Highly skilled magicians are considered a national asset, a reflection of a country's true strength. The year is 2095. It is spring, the season for new student admissions. The National Magic University affiliated First High School, commonly known as First High, consists of 2 divisions. 1. First course, Course 1. The top-tier students. 2. Second course, Course 2. The backups for Course 1 students. Each group has its own nickname. Course 1 students are called Bloom, the crowned flowers. Course 2 students are called Weeds, implying inferiority. And among the newly admitted Blooms, one student shines the brightest. Shiba Miyuki. She is the secretary of the Yotsuba clan, one of the 10 master clans. Her magic prowess and academic performance are top tier. Her appearance? Absolutely stunning. With long, flowing black hair, her beauty is unmatched. She is unquestionably the most beautiful girl in the school. At this moment, Shiba Miyuki's cold, elegant eyes flickered with curiosity and confusion. A chat group had suddenly appeared in her mind, along with a flood of new knowledge. She couldn't determine if the information was real or false. But she still decided to test it out by sending a message. This wasn't just to greet others. It was to probe. After all, magic has limitless possibilities. Different magic structures and formulas are constantly being developed. Who's to say this isn't some strange, experimental new magic? As a cautious and meticulous individual, she remained on guard. Academy City. At Tokowadai Middle School, a prestigious all-girls academy, many students in matching uniforms filled the sports field. They wore short-sleeved tops, thin summer cardigans, and gray pleated skirts. Among them, a short-haired brunette stopped mid-run. She frowned. Her brown eyes suspiciously scanned her surroundings, glancing at the other students jogging nearby. Who's behind this? This girl was Misaka Mikoto. She had just seen a strange chat group interface appear before her eyes. Her first thought? It must be some Esper using their ability on me. After all, this is Academy City. A place where science and technology are highly advanced and highly concentrated. At the same time, Academy City is a massive educational institution, divided into 23 districts. But education here isn't just about studying. The most important part of Academy City's curriculum is the Esper Development Program. Students in Academy City don't naturally possess abilities. Instead, they undergo scientific procedures, such as drug enhancement, hypnosis, electrostimulation. Through these methods, they gain superpowers. Espers are ranked by ability levels: Level 0. No ability. Level 1. Minor ability. Level 2. Low ability. Level 3. Moderate ability. Level 4. High ability. Level 5. Superpower, the absolute elite. Misaka Mikoto attends Tokowadai Middle School. Tokowadai is located in School Garden, within Academy City's 7th district. It is one of Academy City's 5 most prestigious schools. And it specializes in Esper development. One of its entrance requirements? You must be level 3 or higher. Misaka Mikoto is not just any student at Tokowadai. She is one of only 7 level 5 Espers in all of Academy City. And among the 7, she ranks 3rd. Her ability? Electromastery. She can manipulate electromagnetic forces and is Academy City's strongest electromaster. Her nickname? Railgun. She is also known as the Ace of Tokowadai and the Invincible Electric Princess. Right now, Misaka Mikoto was convinced. Someone was using an unknown ability to make her see this bizarre trade chat group. Her first suspicion? An ability that targets the brain or perception. And the most likely culprit? Her longtime rival, Shoka Misaki. Shoka Misaki is another level 5 Esper, ranked 5th. She possesses the ability Mental Out. A power that grants absolute control over the mind. Her abilities include reading thoughts, long-distance communication, memory alteration, emotion manipulation, reconstructing thought processes, and much more. In short, she controls everything related to the mind. Shoka Misaki is also the queen of the largest faction within Tokowadai Middle School. Misaka Mikoto and Shoka Misaki. They don't get along. They never have. To call them rivals would be an understatement. But right now, Misaka Mikoto didn't see that annoying woman anywhere. More importantly, her electromagnetic field defenses were completely intact. That was impossible. Her electromagnetic barrier is Shoka Misaki's greatest weakness. If Shoka tried to control her mind, her ability would cancel it out instantly. On-sama? Why did you suddenly stop? Just then, a girl with twin-tailed chestnut-colored hair ran up to her. This was Shirai Kuroko, Misaka Mikoto's best friend, kuhai, and roommate. Kuroko, do you see anything in front of me? Misaka Mikoto asked. In front of you? Shirai Kuroko looked around in confusion. What are you talking about? I only see a student jogging ahead. Indeed, there was a student running in front of her. But that wasn't what she was talking about. She meant the chat group. So, Kuroko couldn't see it at all. Just like the chat rules had stated, only the user could see the chat group. On-sama? Shirai Kuroko called out again, noticing Misaka Mikoto spacing out. Misaka Mikoto shook her head. It's nothing. Let's head back. I'm a little tired. Oh, okay. Although Kuroko felt that her on-sama was acting strange, she didn't press the issue. As they headed back to the dorms, Misaka Mikoto shifted her focus back to the chat group. Bujuja Mizuko, it's good that both of our new members are willing to engage in conversation. Suai, yeah, but I wonder what kind of worlds they come from. Stella, wait a second. Misaka Mikoto, Shiba Miyuki. Are you guys male or female? Shiba Miyuki, eh? That's an odd question. I'm a girl. Misaka Mikoto, I go to an all-girls school. Obviously, I'm a girl. Why are you even asking this? And more importantly, who exactly are you people? Chapter 217, Time Will Tell. Stella, alright, let me answer your question first. Many of us come from different worlds. Misaka Mikoto, seriously? Stella, hey, how can I prove it's true or not? Believe it if you want. We can verify through a trade. Rao, thumbs up. Yukino shita Yukino, trades require caution. Rao, Yukino, am I that dangerous? Up to now, not a single one of my trades has failed. I always get great reviews. Yamagawa I am, Rao-sama's trades are worthwhile. Aizawa Shizu, Rao-kun is very reliable. Kasuga Hajiri, I totally agree. Rao-kun even restored worlds on the verge of collapse. Yukino shita Yukino. Sorry. I was only giving newcomers a reminder from a female perspective. Stella, Yukino. Nicely done. Fryron, what's going on? Stella, you sound all fired up. Stella, hey, I've uncovered his wolfish ambition. Misakurajima, what do you mean? Toru, I advise you not to casually set traps for Rao, or you'll face a dragon's wrath. Stella, I'm not framing him. If you don't believe me, just check the group. There's something odd. Hagi Shinoa, odd? I don't see anything strange. It's just a normal group chat, right? Misaka Mikoto, a conspiracy, is it? Stella, hey, the weird part is other than Rao himself, every single member is female. Toru, that's it? Bujuja Misako, though that's true, it doesn't necessarily prove anything. Misakurajima, I think I get what Stella's implying. Stella, right? Rao's wolfish ambition. He's definitely a huge pervert. Rao, you're not wrong, but this is my chat group. I prefer beautiful female members. I'm not interested in guys, that's all. Stella. Stella then recalled that Rao never hides the fact he's a shameless perv. She realized she'd basically discovered something obvious. However, her words did alert the two newcomers. Misaka Mikoto, what's going on? Rao, are you a pervert or something? Shiba Miyuki. Rao, just assume I am. He felt there was no need to clarify. Explaining would be pointless. Rao, any questions about the chat group? Shiba Miyuki, not sure it's real. Misaka Mikoto, Humphrey, I hope you're not using some ability on me. Rao, if you doubt the chat group, let time prove it. He understood the new members might not buy the group's authenticity right away. In fact, plenty of new members start out skeptical, but time settles it. When Rao reached the school, Misakurajima immediately dragged him up to the rooftop. Once certain nobody was around, Mai glared at him in frustration. Can you drop your perverted hobbies already? Huh? Initially, he'd thought Mai was impatient for something fun, but clearly it was the other way around, as she sounded rather upset. Judging from her tone, she was definitely serious. And Rao was intrigued. What hobbies? Huh? Mai was exasperated. Don't play dumb at a time like this. There's class today. What do you expect me to do, reveal everything to everyone? They'd have to change for the school's sports uniform wasn't revealing. If anything, it was conservative. Even so, she'd have to at least expose her knees a bit, and she had no clue how to hide all the weird scribblings over her body. That's why she'd bundled up so carefully these last 2 days. Yet with Rao still acting clueless, Mai grew more anxious. She lifted her sleeve angrily. Didn't you say the stuff on my body? Like these weird marks and sexy scribbles. Weren't yours? That's some nasty fetish. True, she didn't mind Rao's kinks as much nowadays, but she never wanted to broadcast them to other people. Rao studied the crooked writing carefully and fell silent. He was certain he wasn't the one who drew these. No idea what sort of pen you used, but it won't wash off, Mai groused. Rao looked puzzled. Mai, I should tell you, I didn't write any of that. Huh? Mai scowled. Rao-kun, do you even know what you're saying? Of course. Under her embarrassed gaze, he raised her shirt a bit. Sure enough, her stomach was covered in messy words that extended down below the waist. Rao frowned slightly. This is from Toru's magic. That's why you can't wash it off? Mai was stunned. Toru? So these were Toru's doing? Seems obvious. Looks like Toru was messing with you. Rao shrugged. Mai wasn't dumb. Adding up the signs. Rao's cluelessness and all. She realized he really hadn't known. So she'd ended up trying to hide, feeling mortified for days over something Toru did. That made her feel like a total clown. Ugh. Mai let out a small whimper of frustration. What's wrong? Rao asked. Rao-kun, do you have any idea what it's like to feel so humiliated you'd rather die? Can't say I do. He chuckled, moving as though to remove her skirt and tights. Hey, what are you doing? Mai quickly blocked his hands, flustered. Class is about to start. We don't have time for that. Rao found her response amusing. Right away, he could tell she had misunderstood him. Her first reaction wasn't to refuse him but to point out they didn't have enough time. So she had that slight interest in campus play, too, it seemed. He teased, "My, you're getting dirtier." "I only meant to erase Tatu's scribbles." Mai froze. "Erase." She watched Rayao raise a finger. As though something unseen shattered, the magic on the writing vanished. Anywhere he touched, the scribbles disappeared in sequence. Indeed, she had misunderstood. She grew self-conscious as her body heated with shame. Glaring at him in embarrassment, "This is all your fault. I've been corrupted by you." "Really now?" Rayao narrowed his eyes, then suddenly kissed her smooth belly. "Then I'd better do my best to mold Mai into my shape." Ugh. Feeling Rayao's move this time wasn't merely about removing scribbles, Mai's face flared bright red. Chapter 218, Scribbles, Contact Info. Actually, Rayao didn't do anything more to Mai in that brief moment. He only used his tongue to help remove the scribbles from the marker on her body. He was exceedingly meticulous, leaving out no spot. Unfortunately, he deliberately didn't let Mai experience that ultimate pinnacle. He stopped halfway. At that moment, Mai's expression was something he carefully savored, a look of hazy confusion, tinged with puzzlement, within the confusion, a trace of frustrated desire, and after confirming there would be no follow-up, a yearning but too embarrassed to speak, coupled with an aggrieved, tight-lipped sulk. He was waiting for Mai to speak up on her own, to beg him to let her experience that driving to the limit. Pity that he didn't manage to see it happen this time. Mai stubbornly ran off. "It seems Mai still isn't open enough. This won't do." Rayao's goal was truly a great bedful, i.e. everyone together. Mai still had a long way to go to reach that point. He had to train her carefully. When he returned to the classroom as well, two particular gazes caught his notice. One gaze came from Kato Megumi, her soft, mild eyes calmly watching him. The other from Hayato Michiru, who looked hesitant yet kept glancing his way. After sitting at his desk, he suddenly turned around. "Hayato-san, you've been staring at me since I walked in, looking preoccupied." "Why?" Caught off guard, Hayato Michiru didn't know how to articulate it. After organizing her thoughts, she explained her dilemma. "Actually, my bandmates, the ones you helped out last time, have been wanting your contact info. They keep pestering me, so." That gaggle of silly fangirls shoved the task onto her. Asking a guy for his contact. She felt so awkward doing that. That's it? He'd thought it might be something serious. Turned out it was just a simple matter. "No worries, I'll give it to you." Rayao wrote down his details, in case she couldn't memorize them. Hayato Michiru thanked him. After pausing a few seconds, she asked, can I add your contact as well?" "Of course. No problem." Rayao smiled, "When your band has a gig, let me know. If I'm free, I'll come support you." Hayato Michiru's eyes lit up. "Rayao-kun likes music?" "Not exactly about liking or disliking. I don't know anything about professional music or have the motivation to learn." He spoke candidly about his thoughts on music. "Oh." She looked a little disappointed. But then Rayao shifted his tone. "However, I'm quite skilled at appreciating beauty." "Appreciating beauty?" She stared in surprise at the hint of a smile on Rayao's face. He continued, "Yes. Whether it's the pleasing sound of the music or the confident radiance you show when performing, I can appreciate that." Her earlobes went slightly pink. It didn't sound so much like he was talking about the music itself but more like he was praising the person performing it. Something within her was stirred. To avoid making it awkward, she quickly said, "All right, then I'll be sure to let you know when we perform next time. And besides, the band wants to thank you for helping us out the other day." "Haha, deal." Rayao didn't continue with idle chatter and simply turned back around. It was better to strengthen rapport naturally rather than waste words. After he faced forward, Hayato Michiru gazed at his back blankly, lost in thought about something. During break Rayao received a text, which was no surprise. It came from Futaba-ryo. Specifically, the outward-going version of Futaba-ryo at school. "Futaba-ryo, meet me at the garden." Just a simple request to head to the garden. Rayao knew she likely wanted to discuss the matter of the introverted Futaba-ryo, so he went. He arrived at the garden to find Futaba-ryo quietly waiting on a bench. Rayao casually sat beside her, quipping, "Haven't heard from you these last couple of days. I thought you'd stopped worrying about her." Ryo turned her head with a self-mocking smile. "Or maybe there's another possibility, I disappeared entirely." "Not possible." But Rayao denied it with conviction. A seriousness in his voice. "I said I wouldn't let either of you vanish, so I won't let it happen." Futaba-ryo's eyes flickered. She gathered her hair calmly. "I was just mentioning a possibility. Even so, I do hope you can keep your promise. At the very least, I don't want to disappear." She gave a faint smile. "Anyway, to the point, How's she managing at your place? Don't tell me you laid a hand on her already. She's adapted fairly well. As for making a move, Rao let out a resigned sigh. I've been rather busy and haven't found the chance. A shame. Futaba paused. Though Rao's tone sounded teasing, somehow she sensed he was half serious. I'm starting to think sending her to you was a mistake. If you want my opinion, a massive mistake indeed. Rao's lips curved into a grin. You basically dropped a sweet little lamb straight into a wolf's maw. I see no reason not to devour. She was at a loss for words. Because it was true. She'd known from the start Rao was a lustful, big bad wolf. She'd still done it. And hidden in a corner of her heart was envy and anticipation for her to get devoured. Probably from the first time she met Rao and heard his confession, her feelings had grown complicated. She craved attention. Especially when recalling Rao's burning gaze from day one. It made her heart sink each time, reminding her. And sitting beside him now, it was the same. She'd rather have Rao notice her than others notice her. Anyway, soon I'll return her life to her. Once that happens, she would fade away. That was Futaba-ryo's intuition. Sigh. Rao exhaled. So you really have no faith in me, huh? No. She responded seriously. I'm actually grateful you noticed me at first sight, grateful you liked a person like me. But I'm ultimately an existence that shouldn't be. Her tone was both sincere and dejected. The more she lived her life, the more she understood that her presence, like Rao said, a puberty delusion, was a pathological error. No one understood Futaba-ryo better than herself. She had a hunch that once the other Ryo overcame her issues, her own existence would lose all purpose. Chapter 219, I Have a Friend. Futaba-ryo's relieved attitude wasn't so much about her having faith in Futaba-ryo herself, but rather about her believing in Rao, that man who had entered her heart the first time they met. Because she trusted him, she believed that Futaba-ryo, the introverted her, would be changed by him. Although she couldn't see all that was inside her counterpart's heart, Rao could sense Futaba-ryo's calm acceptance and relief. It seemed he'd have to use some methods today. He had no intention of letting the little wife he had his eye on for so long vanish for no reason. So he stood up, gently ruffling Futaba-ryo's hair with his big hand and said, From now on, you will never disappear again. I promise you that. Eh? Futaba-ryo hadn't yet processed such a serious assurance. By the time she came to her senses, Rao was already gone, leaving only his retreating figure. She touched the strands of hair where he had patted her, whispering anxiously. A promise. Ugh. Inside the art club, Ariri was so upset she ruffled her hair in frustration. Originally, she'd thought her passionate union with Rao meant she'd found happiness that could last a lifetime. But suddenly, her mother dropped two shocking revelations on her. 1. Her mom wasn't actually her real mother. PFFT. When she first heard that, she was both stunned and filled with complicated emotions. But after a while, she was able to accept it. Because whether or not this woman was her biological mother, the bond of mother and daughter between them was very real. Ariri didn't mind at all, she would forever see that person as her mom. But 2. The second matter she absolutely couldn't accept. Her mom had also obtained a future. And it was the same big future that Ariri herself had. Like a thunderbolt, that flood of shocking information overwhelmed her. She'd never expected to see, in her own life, a situation similar to Takagi-saya from the chat group. The same kind of thing that had once been gossiped about. For a moment, Ariri didn't know whether to laugh or cry. On the one hand, she was happy she and her mother could stay together forever. On the other, she was dismayed that she and her mother would be sharing the same big future with Rao. Ariri was frantic, not knowing how to face that kind of scenario. And Mom told her she didn't mind at all, that everything still depended on Ariri's own choice. What would her mom do if she, Ariri, did mind? She didn't know. But she was sure her mom would yield to her in some way. Humphrey, it's all Rao's fault. Ariri was extremely angry. If he weren't such a twisted pervert, they wouldn't be stuck in this predicament. What am I supposed to do? She wanted to talk to someone about her troubles, but she didn't really have any friends. The only people close to her were Rao and her mom. Rao. Humphrey, I'm not gonna ask him for help. The thought of him, who would reap all the benefits of this situation, made her grind her teeth in fury. No matter what she decided, that perverted wolf would profit. Suddenly, a light bulb went on in her head. She thought of someone, Kasumijoka Utaha. They'd met a few times, but they were both members of the chat group. Even if Ariri confided in her, it probably wouldn't spread all over the place, right? She could just private message her in the chat. She was desperate for someone to talk to about her gloom. Ariri, Kasumijoka-san, do you have a moment? Kasumijoka Utaha, who was resting her head on her desk, raised her head curiously. This Ariri was messaging her for what reason? She felt they weren't exactly close. But they were groupmates, so she politely replied, Kasumajoka Utaha. Sawamura-san, is there something you need? Ariri, I have a friend who has some issues and wants to gather some opinions. Kasumajoka Utaha lifted an eyebrow. That classic line, I have a friend who. Ariri, my friend just got into a mutual, they like each other relationship with a boy she really likes. Kasumajoka Utaha, oh, how nice. Mutual feelings are always worth celebrating. Ariri, indeed. She was really happy. Ariri, but today, she ran into some extremely shocking trouble. Kasumajoka Utaha, how shocking. Utaha was intrigued. Love topics might spark creative ideas or new inspirations. Ariri, well, just last night she and her boyfriend got very intimate. Then, early this morning, she hears two bombshell pieces of news. Ariri, first, she found out her mother isn't her real mom. Kasumajoka silently nodded. That's pretty sad news. Ariri, second. Just as Utaha was eager for more gossip, Ariri's words cut off. This is driving me nuts, Utaha thought. She sensed that the second piece was an even bigger bombshell. She didn't dare rush, though, only waited impatiently. After a while, Ariri, having made a tough decision, couldn't hold back sharing her friend's secret. Ariri, she discovered that her boyfriend and her mom are also Kasumajoka Utaha. Even though Ariri didn't finish the sentence, Kasumajoka Utaha already understood what it meant. Eek. This is unbelievably bizarre. She suddenly felt this friend of Ariri's was pretty tragic. Ariri, what do you think she should do about a situation like that? Kasumajoka Utaha, Utaha had wanted just to hear a bit of gossip for writing inspiration, but she never imagined an ultimate, taboo-laced drama about family ethics and so on. She had no idea how to comfort this friend. Kasumajoka Utaha, cough, so did your friend catch them in the act or something? Ariri, Humphrey, apparently her mom told her first thing in the morning. Kasumajoka Utaha. Oh, wow. They're not even hiding it from her? She felt Rei-ao, the friend's boyfriend, was stepping into some insanely perverted territory. The chat group had such precedent after all. Ariri, Utaha, in your opinion, what should my friend do? Kasumajoka Utaha's eyelids twitched. Ariri even changed how she addressed her, calling her Utaha. Like they were buddies. She's basically treating Utaha like a confidant. Utaha wasn't thrilled. This was a huge emotional burden. Chapter 220, The Hopeless Geniuses. Under the great pressure of being entrusted with this problem, Kasumajoka couldn't help but ask, Kasumajoka Utaha, how is your friend's relationship with her mother? Ariri, they get along great. Her mother also really respects her personal interests. They're extremely close. Kasumajoka Utaha, and what does your friend herself think? Ariri, she feels very conflicted. Ariri, on one side, there's her dear mother, on the other, her beloved boyfriend. Ariri, obviously, each one alone is a blessing. But together. It's just so weird. Ariri, she has no idea how she's supposed to face them now. Kasumajoka Utaha. I really don't have a solution for that, apart from advising your friend to calm down and follow her own heart. At least your friend and her mother aren't related by blood. Having said that line, Kasumajoka felt somewhat regretful. Her statement more or less carried a hint of guidance. But, unfortunately, the chat group had no recall message option. And sure enough, it worked like a light bulb moment for the other side. Ariri's eyes lit up. Right. They aren't blood related, are they? All of a sudden, all her conflict and confusion vanished, as though she'd reached enlightenment in a flash. Ariri, thank you, Utaha. I get it now. Kasumajoka Utaha. Wait, what exactly did you figure out? Kasumajoka Utaha felt that her casual remark sounded just like something Rei-ao might say. TCH. Given the situation, not my problem anymore. Anyway, this isn't my fault. Moreover, I guess Rei-ao-kun at least owes me a thank you, huh? Kasumajoka Utaha imagined Rei-ao soon enjoying himself in a position of having an arm around each side, and felt annoyed, grinding her teeth. TCH, a pervert's a pervert. Meanwhile, in the homeroom teacher's office for Year 3, Class 1, Garasimova stood with arms folded, her stern gaze fixed on the two girls in front of her, one with blue hair, one with chestnut brown hair. Furuashi Fumino, Ogata Rizu? I've said all I can. Now tell me your decisions. Garasimova's frosty tone caused both girls to tremble. They both hung their heads in silence. Garasimova wasn't bullying them, rather, She was trying to advise them about their futures. In her view, these two were talented but problematic students in her class. Furuashi Fumino outstanding looks, large, light brown eyes, 8-ear mole under her left eye, fair skin, a radiant smile, long, waist-length blue hair. She was beautiful and also a top genius in the liberal arts. She had a perfect score in modern Japanese, classical literature, and Chinese classics, an overwhelming mastery. Called the sleeping beauty of the literary forest. But she was the type of genius who excelled at only one area: liberal arts. In exchange, she was terrible at the sciences. Indeed, she'd never even passed a science test. As long as she exploited her strong point in liberal arts, she'd be set on a stable, successful path. But Mifu's headache was that Fumino's ambition was to get into a science university, wishing to work in astronomy in the future. Insisting on that dream. She was extremely persistent. Ogata Rizushi was basically the opposite of Fumino. She had short orange-reddish hair, blue pupils, wore red oval-framed glasses, and a red bow hair clip by her left temple. Compared to Fumino's delicate face, Rizu's features were a bit plainer, but she had something Fumino couldn't match. A certain bra size. Fumino's figure was unremarkable, even an A cup might be in danger. Rizu boasted an astonishing G cup. Just like that eye-catching bust, her math and science ability was impressive. She consistently topped the year in math, physics, and other science subjects. Hence she was called the Clockwork Thumbelina, or the girl who can craft anything. But like Fumino, Rizu was a one-area genius. She had no competence in liberal arts. The scary part, even basic reading comprehension forced her to rely on math-based thinking. How could that possibly work? Though her science aptitude was out of this world, her ambition was the opposite of Fumino's. She wanted a liberal arts university to study psychology in college. Crucially, both of them were extremely stubborn. They tried so many times to improve their weaknesses, without success. As their homeroom teacher, Gerasimitha had repeatedly warned them. Because in her mind, a person's talent is their treasure, which must be used wisely. Seeing them waste such rare gifts made her feel personally offended, as though they were throwing away what she herself had always longed for. For these and other reasons, after seeing all their repeated failures, Gerasimitha decided to give them one last chance. After that, she intended to inform the school leadership and their families, who also wouldn't want their talents wasted. Furuashi Fumino clenched a fist. She was resolved to go to a science university and pursue astronomy, because of her mom, or perhaps her dream. I refuse. I just want to move forward for the sake of my dream. I don't care about talent. She bit her lip, gazing defiantly into Mifu's eyes. I refuse as well. Ogata Rizu stuck to her plan. Gerasimitha paused, then said gravely, "You two still won't give in? Your grades can't reach your ideal level in such a short time. Then if you can't even get into a decent college, what will you do?" This was the fatal question. With their extreme lopsidedness, it was nearly impossible to jump to a passing grade in just over a week. They tried countless times. It shook their confidence. "There's really no way at all?" Fumino murmured in frustration. Suddenly, she recalled something. Someone in their grade had soared to the top, with perfect marks in every subject, practically overnight. She looked up abruptly. "Mifu-sensei, do you know the student Rao?" Ogata Rizu, hearing that name, also reacted. She adjusted her glasses. "You mean the one who shot to first place in the grade all of a sudden?" "Yes." Fumino's eyes glowed. "If he can do it, then maybe we can too." "Right." Rizu joined her excitement, regaining hope. Rao. Gerasimitha sank into thought. She never imagined that her problem students would bring up a miracle she herself had witnessed, effectively slapping her in the face with it. "Mifu-sensei, we want to learn from Rao-san." Both of them gazed at her with bright, fervent eyes. She'd been about to scold that Rao was totally different from them, but swallowed her words. Pressing her lips together, she decided, "Fine. I'll give you one last chance." Chapter 221, Rejected. Shoka Misaki Rao had no idea what decision Ariri might have made. But he believed Kori could calm Ariri down. For now, he had his own matters to attend to. He was currently in Hiratsuka Shizuka's office. The entire recess had been taken up. He hadn't even had a chance to get cozy with his little girlfriend. "Shizuka-sensei, you asked for me?" In private, he could call Shizuka anything he liked, or have her call him daddy when they were playing around. No problem. But at the moment, Gerasimitha was also in the room, so of course he'd mind his tone. Indeed, Hiratsuka Shizuka asked him here about something that involved Gerasimitha. Hearing Rao foregoing any affectionate address, Shizuka quietly sighed in relief. Especially with his strict teacher Gerasimitha present. She explained to Rao, "Actually, Mifu-sensei here has a request for you." "So that's it?" "Mifu-sensei?" Rao looked at her. Gerasimova wore a completely different air of authority compared to at home, speaking formally. Yes, Rao-kun. I have 2 students who would like to learn from you. She then briefed Rao on her 2 problem students. Shizuka was surprised, they're still persisting with that? So she was also aware of Furuashi Fumino and Ogata Rizu's situation. Yes, and it's giving me a real headache, Mifo admitted, perplexed. They both have extraordinary gifts, yet each insists on taking the path in which she has no talent. I just don't get what they're thinking. Those 2, huh? Rao responded, well, I don't see any problem with pursuing their dreams. People like that deserve respect. Huh? Gerasimova frowned at him, staring into his eyes, but don't you think it's a shame to waste such talents? It is a shame. Rao shrugged. But respect and regret aren't contradictory. It can be a shame, yet still worthy of respect. Also, it's their life, not ours. They're the ones who have to take responsibility for their own choices. He wasn't wrong at all. But I'm their teacher, Mifo said through clenched teeth. I don't want them to waste that talent. Then what's your purpose in calling me over? Wasn't it about them wanting to learn from me? At a loss for words, Mifo sighed inwardly. She actually did admire the girls' unwavering dedication to their dreams, so she still wanted to give them a chance. Even if the odds were slim. Rao, how do you see this request? No matter the case, this chance depended on his willingness. She was aware of that. You mean have me teach them, or help them with study methods? Right. Since your own drastic academic jump is plain for everyone to see, they see you as their last resort. I see. Rao stroked his chin and gave his reply, but I refuse. Having him teach or tutor? Too boring. Not just boring. It'd be a total waste of time. He couldn't devote his precious free time to those 2 alone. He would rather spend that time with anyone else, wouldn't he? Forget it, even throwing a party in the Kabanari world or going to Akamas world to lounge around as emperor enjoying the harem. Both were far more appealing. He was a man who enjoyed women, but there were many ways to pursue that. Teaching them was not on his list. I see. Mifo wasn't too surprised. She'd come prepared for rejection. Rao had no shortage of money, nor was he wanting for a girlfriend or anything else. Why would he bother with the hassle of tutoring? Letting out a slow breath, even though she was disappointed, Mifo still expressed her thanks. I'll let them know your answer. Sorry to have troubled you. It's no trouble. I'm sorry I couldn't help you, Mifo-sensei. They exchanged a few polite words and left in turn. Not long after, Furuashi Fumino and Ogata Rizu got word of the outcome from Gerasimova. Both left, heads hanging in dejection. Mifo said helplessly, so that's that. I hope you'll think carefully about my advice, and talk with your families. Time is running short. Academy City Tokawadai Middle School Cafeteria. Being a prestigious girls' school for the wealthy, the cafeteria was quite lavish. Fitting for these young ladies' status. Misaka Mikoto arrived alone today. She didn't line up for food, she scanned the entire hall sharply, searching for someone. Finally, her gaze locked onto a single person. A honey blonde-haired girl with a slender waist, long limbs, and a figure too developed for a middle schooler. Mikoto marched toward her, only to be blocked halfway by an expressionless-eyed student. Please do not approach any further. The girl raised a hand, preventing Mikoto from getting closer to the heavily guarded target. TCH. Mikoto clicked her tongue in annoyance. Shoka Misaki, do you love controlling people that much? The honey blonde girl, presumably Shoka Misaki, paused her elegant meal. She lifted her head, her large golden eyes shimmering with a starry pattern, and smiled slyly at Mikoto. Can't be helped. My ability is what it is. Also, I'd rather not have some random violent savage looming over me while I eat. A random violent savage? A cross popped on Mikoto's temple. Fuming at being verbally skewered, she glared back. Not only do you speak with a nasty tone, you love pulling weird stunts. That stuff in my head. Was that your doing? Huh? Shoka Misaki blinked. Something in her head? That left her puzzled. What are you even talking about? With a raised brow, she strongly suspected Mikoto was making trouble out of nothing. Mikoto insisted, you really don't know? No idea what sickness you have. Don't bother me. Misaki had no interest in dragging this out. She still had a meal to finish. Seeing Mikoto remain unmoving, Misaki showed her displeasure by taking a remote from her purse and pressing a button toward Mikoto. Z. BZ. A blue electric arc flickered at Mikoto's forehead. She felt a sudden headache. TCH, your ability is honestly revolting. Shoka Misaki clicked her tongue as well, evidently displeased. She had tried to activate her mental out on Mikoto by pressing the remote, but her power was completely neutralized. Just now, it had been blocked by Mikoto's electromagnetic barrier. Chapter 222, Biri Biri, do you have anyone you like? because her attempt to use her ability on Misaka Mikoto failed. And seeing Mikoto remain so calm, Shoko Misaki had her subordinates stand guard. That was her strategy with a hot-headed Misaka Mikoto. Misaka's personality was belligerent, prone to flare-ups, but she wouldn't randomly harm unrelated people. Because of that, even though Shoko Misaki's power got neutralized, she wasn't particularly afraid to oppose Mikoto. Unexpectedly, though, Misaka Mikoto didn't blow up this time the way she'd anticipated. Mikoto didn't even show annoyance at Shoku's attempt. She actually seemed quite composed. Almost pleased. Not that Mikoto had any masochistic tendencies, she had simply used Shoku's move as a test. To see whether Shoku's ability could actually affect her. And now she had her answer, it still didn't work. Plus, from Shoku's genuine confusion and impatience, Mikoto was basically certain the mysterious chat in her head had nothing to do with Shoko Misaki. Having her result, Mikoto no longer had a reason to stay. She waved a hand. That earlier mess was my fault. Sorry about that. Also. Thanks. Then she turned and left. Huh? That left Shoko Misaki, who was just about to get angry, completely baffled. She might understand the apology, but thanks. For what? After a long silence, Shoko couldn't help muttering, weirdo. She pressed the remote again. What happened just now? Her ability cancelled, the surrounding students awakened from control. But she had lost her appetite for pudding, thanks to Mikoto. Sure enough, at this moment Mikoto, holding her test results, typed into the chat group, Misaka Mikoto, alright, I guess I do believe this chat group is real now. After all her testing, she hadn't found any loopholes in the chat group. At least, with her power, she couldn't prove it fake or detect that it was just someone else's ability. And the group never vanished. She had no choice but to tentatively accept its authenticity. Still, there was one thing she was curious about. Misaka Mikoto, so, Rao, why did you add me to this group? Rao, nothing to do with me. Misaka Mikoto, huh? Bujuja Misako, in fact, group invitations appear to be random. Yukino Shita Yukino, probably random world, random person. Stella, wrong. Random female. Yukino Shita Yukino. Misaka Mikoto, but why me? What's this group's objective? It's a trade chat group. Frieren, yep, a trade chat group. The key thing is all about trading. Yamagawa if there's any common thread, maybe the group decided we all needed some form of trade. Misaka Mikoto, but I don't need to trade anything. Iragi Shinoa, that means you're living a very happy, satisfying life? Misaka Mikoto, of course. And in Academy City, I'm one of the strongest. Rao, level 5, railgun, Biri. In Academy City, you do have decent power. Misaka Mikoto? Railgun. The heck is that nickname? She paused in her steps toward the dorm. What did he mean? She typed, Misaka Mikoto, how do you know that? And what's with calling me Railgun? Rao, haha, I'm the chat group's owner. It's only natural I'd know my dear group members' info, right? As for Railgun, doesn't it sound pretty fitting? Kasuga Hijiri, it does sound fierce. Sakura Jimamai, somehow I got a weird feeling from that label. Taru, you mean like firing cannons? Kado Megumi. Misaka Mikoto, don't say weird stuff, you jerks. She was trembling in anger. Actually, it was more like she was hot with embarrassment. This is some bizarre nickname? Misaka Mikoto, just call me by name or something. Don't use that stupid nickname. Rao, alright. Misaka Mikoto, what do you mean alright? Stop sidestepping. I won't pursue how you found out, but why mention my personal info out of nowhere? Rao, no reason. Just me, as the group's admin, giving a small reminder to my beloved group member, don't be overconfident. Rao, Academy City is deeper than you realize. Your world as a whole is deeper than you realize, too. Whether it involved the conspiracies within Academy City, or the complex, rigid magic factions, or maybe even higher-level magic godlike existences. The water surely went far deeper than a self-assured Misaka Mikoto imagined. Misaka Mikoto, huh? She felt suspicious. Was he cautioning her about something? She hardly saw why. She was Misaka Mikoto, the third-ranked level 5. The only people ahead of her were the first and second. She didn't see what else could threaten her. Suai, looks like this Misaka Mikoto isn't buying Rao's warning. Frieren, as someone who's gone through it, Rao might come across as a womanizing scoundrel, but he doesn't do false scare tactics. Aizawa Shizu, she probably just doesn't see the bigger picture yet. Stella, that bastard's an absolute romance maniac, but he won't lie to you for no reason. So, newbie. Don't get too cocky. You can't just sit at the bottom of the well and imagine you see the entire sky. She spoke from experience. She'd thought herself strong enough but discovered opponents stronger than she was. Had she not gained Reiao's strength, she'd have been unable to defeat Totatuka. Misaka Mikoto. She calmed down. Indeed, Reiao had no motive for random scare tactics. If he truly knew something and was kindly warning her. Could Academy City be more perilous than she'd imagined? Truth be told, she had no real sense of it but decided to keep this in mind. Better safe than sorry. Shiba Miyuki, I don't seem to have anything that needs trading either. No matter how she pondered it, Shiba Miyuki, didn't need any trades. So she typed, Shiba Miyuki, I can't think of any trade needs at the moment. Then Reiao turned his attention to that. He, too, was curious about her situation, about her famed Unii-sama, Shiba Tatsuya. Reiao, do you have anyone you like? Shiba Miyuki, Seated in class, Shiba Miyuki's eyes went wide. Why so suddenly asking such a weird question? Chapter 223, You look lovely. Stella? Why are you asking about that? Sakurajima, You're not trying to preemptively eliminate a love rival, are you? Kasuga Hijiri, that shouldn't be it, right? After all, none of us have met Shiba Miyuki-san. Frieren, but he does have personal info on group members, so maybe he noticed how beautiful Shiba Miyuki is and got ideas. Reiao, indeed, she's lovely and cute. And her aura is quite similar to Yukino's. Mabel, Yukino is indeed gorgeous. Just a touch below me, though. Stella? Kato Megumi, you're amazing, Reiao-kun. Praising two people in one sentence. Yukino shita Yukino. For some reason, Yukino felt a bit embarrassed at hearing one line of praise from Reiao and another from Mabel about her looks. Especially considering the livestream showed so many of the group members. Each of them quite pretty, each with her own distinct charm. Yukino never thought of herself as cute. Shiba Miyuki, thank you for the compliment. Blushing softly, she added, as for, someone I like, I haven't really thought about or planned anything like that. I've only just started high school, so of course I should focus on self-improvement? Reiao paused, surprised. Nothing? That can't be. Logically, Shiba Miyuki should have some fondness for her brother, Shiba Tatsuya. So maybe she's not telling the whole truth? They're all basically online acquaintances, so it's understandable she'd be cautious. But there might also be more going on. Stella, don't change the subject. You aren't really interested in her, are you? Reiao, have you heard the saying when a fine lady appears, a gentleman pursues? Stella, no. Reiao, put simply, men like pretty girls. Stella. Shiba Miyuki, ugh. Even though you praise my looks, I'm sorry, I'm really not thinking about romance right now. Iragi Shinoa, no need to apologize for that. Reiao, haha, I was just expressing admiration for a lovely young woman, not actually confessing. Shiba Miyuki, ugh. Then she quit talking. Probably shy. Reiao merely gave a small smile. Indeed, Shiba Miyuki's frosty elegance reminded him somewhat of Yukino, and both had that long black hair. But their personalities were quite different. Also, if memory served, Shiba Miyuki had a figure Yukino might envy, what with her fullness. Taking a quick look at private messages, Reiao saw no new replies from Mariri. So he turned his attention back to other matters. Evening at Reiao's place. Sitting on the sofa, holding a teacup, Futaba Rio felt she really shouldn't be there. Through her glasses, she gazed toward the entrance hall. Hee, how shall I welcome my dear one in just a bit? That was Toru in high anticipation, muttering to herself. The problem was Toru's outfit. Just a simple apron, and nothing else. Leaving even Futaba Rio too embarrassed to look. Then, click. The front door opened. Right on time, Reiao and Mai returned. Rio hung her head, listening. Darling, welcome home. Wanna eat dinner first? Or eat me first? She expected Reiao to reply, but first came Mai's furious voice, Toru. You. Come with me. We need to have a serious talk about what you did to me. No, I want my darling to enjoy me. Hey, that can wait, Toru. You'd better settle things with Mai first. Mai wanted a proper reckoning over the marker pen scribbles Toru had put all over her body. Without Toru's mischief, Mai wouldn't have had so many crazy misunderstandings, false fantasies, or gotten so defensive, and after Reiao pointed out the truth, she'd ended up feeling like a total pervert. No. Toru turned pale as Mai forcibly dragged her away, while Reiao walked over and sat next to Futaba Rio. She awkwardly started to stand, intending to leave, but Reiao called out, Futaba Rio-san, I have something concerning you to discuss. She halted mid-movement. About her? She immediately thought of her other self. Reiao went straight to the point. Today, I ran into the other you again. After a long silence, she pushed up her glasses. What did she say? She told me she's prepared to vanish. Why? Because she's well aware of the nature of her own existence. You mean puberty syndrome? Futaba-Ryo quickly put the logic together. Rei-Ao nodded. Yep. She believes that, being a manifestation of that condition, she's bound to fade. And so she's come to terms with it. Ryo didn't know what to say. Relief? Sympathy? Pity? Probably all of it. Relief that she would regain her normal life. Compassion and sorrow that the self-aware other Ryo would ultimately vanish. But you still remember the promise I made earlier, right? Rei-Ao didn't let the matter end there. He shifted the conversation to another angle. Promise? Ryo certainly recalled. He promised not to let Futaba-Ryo disappear. Rei-Ao's eyes glinted with a slight smile. I said I wouldn't let her vanish. Which means my next step might not fully respect your opinion, but it'll put the choice back in your hands. She hadn't parsed his meaning before she saw Rei-Ao press a fingertip lightly to her forehead. In the next instant, Futaba-Ryo felt some strange power coursing out from inside her. Ugh! That surge of pleasure made her moan softly. Layers of red dragon scales manifested along her skin. What is this? She stared in shock at the bizarre changes on her own body, pupils contracting. Name, Futaba-Ryo, Level 1, Abilities, Dragon Power. Water Spirit. Twin Form, Twin Body. Rei-Ao's Blessing. Inherent Device, Gemini. This was the first time Rei-Ao had ever broken his own precedent by granting a blessing. Chapter 224, Decision. Rei-Ao-kun, what's happening to me? As an ordinary person, seeing her body suddenly sprout scales left Futaba-Ryo dumbfounded. Rei-Ao soothed her. Don't be afraid. Calm yourself and sense the new power in your body. You can control it. She settled her mind as he'd advised, closing her eyes to try it out. A few seconds later, she opened them again. The dragon scales quietly receded. She could actually control it. Futaba-Ryo was shocked and confused. What in the world is this? Right now, you've received my blessing, and awakened a special power, Rei-Ao explained calmly. Ryo wasn't stupid. She could clearly feel the odd power inside her, almost like a super ability. But why would you do this? Because I don't want the other you to vanish. Rei-Ao nodded, then gestured to her. Your puberty syndrome has now become an ability you can control, thanks to the power of my blessing. In other words, whether that other version of you disappears or not is now your decision. Futaba-Ryo froze in place. Rei-Ao had gone that far, all to keep the other her from disappearing? Ha! She took a deep breath. Twin Form, Twin Body. She activated this ability. In the next moment, it felt like a phantom parted from her own being, then separated out of her in the blink of an eye. The silhouette that split off went from hazy to solid. Why am I out here? It was none other than the outgoing Futaba-Ryo, looking bewildered. Futaba-Ryo, the original, gazed up close at this other version of herself for the first time. The two looked identical, but with her glasses off, hair in a ponytail, and a hint of makeup, the other radiated a vibe completely different from her gloomier aura. Rei-Ao-kun, what's going on? The outgoing Futaba-Ryo still didn't understand, so she reflexively turned to Rei-Ao for answers. Watching that scene, the original Ryo stayed silent. She found it telling that this other version instinctively relied on Rei-Ao. Rei-Ao patiently summarized the situation, and finally turned to the original Ryo. Alright, it's time for you to make a decision. If you want her gone, you can confine her inside your body forever so she never reappears. That was what he meant by leaving it in her hands. Honestly, Rei-Ao was curious to see which path Futaba-Ryo would choose. Meanwhile, the outgoing Futaba-Ryo lowered her head, resigned, awaiting her fate. She assumed the original would make her vanish for good. Yet to her surprise, the original peered at her for quite a while, then asked in a subdued voice. Don't you have anything you'd like to say yourself? Like pleading with me not to erase you? The outgoing version shook her head. With a self-mocking smile, she said. I'm in no position to demand anything from you. From the moment I was born, my ending was already decided. She was, after all, a pathological manifestation, destined to disappear into nothingness. She clearly recognized that. Besides, her existence had caused a lot of inconvenience for the original. No way she'd be so easily forgiven. Still, before I go, there's just one last thing I'd like. Hearing that, the original Ryo was taken aback to see her other self abruptly hug Rei-Ao and stand on tiptoe to give him a quick kiss. The kiss came suddenly and ended just as fast. With a slightly forlorn expression, the outgoing Ryo murmured. Rei-Ao-kun, thank you for everything you did for me. Even she had never expected that the first person she met upon appearing, a strange man who professed to like her at first sight, would go so far for her on the strength of a simple promise. Even she couldn't remain unmoved. But your confession. She paused, blinking back a hint of sadness, then gave a playful smile. I'm afraid I can't give you an answer. Let's just call that a small thank you gift for all you've done. Honestly, living for these days as an ordinary person has made me very happy. Her words made it clear how reluctant she was to leave reality behind, yet she turned decisively to the original. Go ahead. Finish it off, the other me. She stretched out her right hand as if to welcome her fate, expecting to fade on the spot. But the original just glared at her, cheeks blazing, and barked. Do you have any idea what you just did? The outgoing one tilted her head. I was just thanking Rei-Ao-kun. She didn't see the problem. But the original's shoulders trembled, lip quivering in embarrassment. But you did it using my body. That was when she realized that while they were two separate individuals, her body was effectively a complete copy of the original's. So from the original's perspective, seeing someone who looked exactly like her kissing someone else. She could imagine how weird that was. Cough, sorry. I wasn't really thinking that far. Outgoing Rio rubbed the back of her neck, abashed, but she didn't regret it. It was what she most wanted to do. Faced with the other's apology, the original didn't know what to say. Finally, she muttered. Fine. She looked serious, but from now on, I forbid you from doing weird things in front of me. Absolutely forbid it. All right, the other replied. But a second later, she realized something was off. Wait a minute. From now on? She widened her eyes at the original. So, you're saying? The original Rio pushed up her glasses. Calmly, she said. I won't shut you inside my body forever. Hey, so that's your choice, Rei-Ao remarked with a satisfied grin. Don't act like you know me so well. She snapped at him, then turned back to the newly overjoyed clone. Don't think I'm showing you mercy. She cleared her throat. It's just that your existence has plenty of research value. Maybe it'll help me explore quantum fields further. She really couldn't give up on quantum mechanics. And having two of me around might produce some new ideas, she added softly. In words, that was her logic. But of course, part of it was she couldn't stand by and let a fully self-aware being get erased. Chapter 225, Thoroughly. After listening to what Futaba Rio said, the outgoing Futaba Rio froze for a long moment. She never imagined she wouldn't have to disappear. Thank you. Her expression was complicated as she gave a sincere bow. The original Futaba Rio calmly accepted her thanks. Afterward, the two locked eyes, then both fell into an awkward silence. After all, facing an exact copy of oneself made even a normal conversation feel strange. So this counts as a happy ending for everyone, right? In the end, it was the outsider, Rei-Ao, who spoke up first, breaking their stiff atmosphere, clearly offering congratulations on the current situation. To him, this was indeed something to celebrate. Futaba Rio, the original, had gained a new power. Futaba Rio, the outgoing version, had been granted human rights. And Rei-Ao had secured two special goals he was interested in, having paid no particular cost beyond freely granting his blessing. You could certainly call that a win for everyone, a multi-win scenario. Happy ending. Futaba Rio's eyes were somewhat distant. Because of you, things have gotten complicated. If Rei-Ao hadn't taken it upon himself to give her that power, she most likely wouldn't have been forced to make such a difficult choice. Deciding someone else's fate was hardly something that brought her relief. All she felt was enormous pressure. Her palms were already sweating. I said I wouldn't lock her away. So you must take responsibility. Responsibility? Sure, I'd be more than happy to. Rei-Ao had long been prepared. And eager. To take responsibility. But are the two of you willing? He spoke with a slight grin, teasing the potential double meaning in her words. Realizing they weren't talking about the same thing, Futaba Rio's face reddened, and she hastily clarified, don't misunderstand. I mean responsibility about her identity issue. Since the two had decided to live separately for the time being, if people found out about them, it was sure to cause an uproar. The secret had to remain protected. That naturally meant they couldn't live together, nor both appear at school at the same time. Then let her stay here. Rei-Ao casually suggested. There's that room you've been using, it's perfect. Right in front of her, he was basically giving her room to someone else. That felt a bit off. Yet in the end, she said, I'll be heading back today, but in the future we might switch places. We'll share the room, and I can pay rent or something. That's fine, he agreed without hesitation. It clearly didn't put him at any disadvantage. Later, Futaba Rio left. She needed to return home for the moment. On her way back, a sudden thought struck her, leaving those two alone together. Could something happen? She felt a pang of worry. In that case, from now on this is your room, Rei-Ao said to the other Futaba, the outgoing one. It used to be Futaba Ryo's, the original, room. But recalling something, he added, from here on, I'll call you Futaba, and call her Ryo, so it doesn't get confusing. Futaba. She repeated the name softly, eyes lighting up. Even though she too was Futaba Ryo, she was more like a separate, split-off existence. The name Futaba Ryo in full was never truly hers. Being called simply Futaba, as if she were recognized independently when she spoke with him, felt comforting. She actually liked it. I'll go by Futaba from now on. Futaba smiled sweetly, a slight movement but a very natural, enchanting expression. She looked so lovely Rao couldn't help praising, at this moment, Futaba is really captivating. Ugh. Futaba froze. She remembered the reason for her existence, the desire to be noticed. Now it had changed. She only wanted to be noticed by this person. The man who had kept every promise and gifted her a new life. She couldn't deny that she was now quite taken with Rao. Lips trembling slightly, she mumbled, then. Can I attract your attention, Rao-kun? Of course. He answered without hesitation. You attracted me from the very first time we met. I like you, Futaba. Will you entrust your future to me? He even slipped in a confession right then. Futaba's heart pounded wildly. Meeting his blazing gaze, her whole body felt faint. She couldn't help nodding. The moment she did, Rao scooped her into his arms. Their gazes locked in a profound warmth as the two drew closer. Futaba closed her eyes, eyelashes quivering, feeling the warmth land on her lips. Hey, you two. They hadn't even deepened the exchange before a voice interrupted them, a soft, brooding voice from Sakurajima, who'd apparently finished lecturing Toru. Being caught so close up, Futaba was embarrassed beyond measure, fleeing Rao's arms. I'll go tidy up my room. She slammed the door shut. Leaving Rao and Mai outside, they stared at each other. Mai sighed, while I was in there having it out with Toru, you were out here seducing Futaba Ryo? Rao-kun, should I be angry? Angry? Rao gave a calm smile, reaching out to wrap an arm around her waist. Though Mai tried to dodge, he just effortlessly held her. If Mai's angry, let me make it up to you and get rid of that anger. Ugh. Meanwhile, the original Futaba Ryo, on her way home, suddenly halted. MMPH. Some strange tingle, warm and electric, flashed across her lips. She patted them, perplexed. Static shock? Ryo felt puzzled, though she soon brushed it off as trivial and continued on her way. After some persuasion, Rao had soothed Mai. He also explained Futaba's situation to her. Mai was exasperated. This guy hadn't just set his sights on Futaba Ryo but was going after the other version of her too. Knowing Rao's nature, he'd be after them both eventually. Mai let out a mental sigh. Toru, when she learned of it, didn't care at all, so Mai felt she couldn't say much. Since apparently everyone would be one family in the end, best to get along well. So, in a gentle tone, she asked, then do you know what taste of food Futaba might like? She planned to help Futaba settle in from the angle of good cooking. I'm not sure, Rao said. We only saw each other a few times before we ended up deciding on our relationship. That did happen pretty fast. You really? Mai started to protest. Rao preempted her. Today, I plan to thoroughly get to know Futaba. Make up for our lack of real communication. Is that how you plan to get to know her? Mai gave him a fierce side eye, but only said, I'll go make dinner. Chapter 226, Teaching, Husband Candidate? When dinner was ready, Futaba also emerged from her tightly shut room. Shyness only lasts a moment, what must be faced still must be faced. At the dining table, Rao introduced her future family. She already knew Sakurajima Mai, but the other three left her shocked, one more than the next, two newly awakened magical book girls, and a dragon. If she herself weren't so unusual, she would have assumed she was dreaming. Futaba also understood that the kiss earlier signified her relationship with Rao. With nothing held back, Rao told her everything. An absolute trust in her. She felt happy and moved by everyone's acceptance. Even knowing Rao's tendency to have multiple loves, Futaba didn't mind as much now. Please take care of me. With a deep bow to everyone, Futaba resolved to blend into this family. Please take care of me. Following her example, Sora also bowed. Ilya sighed. Sora, there's no need to be that formal and stiff if we're all family. Huh? Sora pouted, hands on her hips. I was just doing what you taught me. Geez. This is such a pain. She humfed and plopped down to start devouring her meal without caring about manners any further. Are they? Futaba saw Sora and Ilya seeming to bicker and got worried. Rao took her hand in reassurance, they're not quarreling. It's just that Ilya wanted to teach Sora a bit about courtesy and such. Basically she's like a mini teacher now. Sora's personality was quite uninhibited, only acting obedient around Rao and the others at home. Toward outsiders, she definitely showed no polite face. So Ilya felt it necessary to guide Sora a bit, hoping she could at least adjust some behaviors for Rao's sake when guests came. But she never forced her. Sora agreed voluntarily. There had been some progress, but Sora was easily annoyed by it. They all were used to such scenes. Oh, I see. Futaba breathed a sigh of relief. She didn't want strife arising on her first day joining the family. Sakurajimamai nodded as well. Ilya's extremely knowledgeable. She's also good at teaching people. Mai herself had learned things from Ilya. How unbelievably knowledgeable she was. Despite not having been in this world long, she knew more than Mai did. Ilya just stayed modest, that really isn't anything special. Mostly it's from my nature as the magical book Ilias's fragment. Recording knowledge and using support magic are just fitting for study and teaching. Rao paused in surprise, noticing something, using support magic for teaching. He suddenly recalled the matter of Kursimifa earlier in the day. She had asked him for help with two problem students, Ogatarizu and Furuashi Fumino. Rao himself didn't want to waste time teaching. But with Ilya's help, it might be possible. And far more efficient, too. Letting Ilya teach them could also be an excuse for him to stay close at hand. Once that idea appeared in his head, he couldn't stop thinking about it. After dinner, he left the house. Where was he going? Obviously. Rao-kun, why are you here? Dressed casually, Kursimifa peered warily through the gap of her half-closed door, looking at him who had rung her bell. He had came to see her. Rao greeted her with a smile. Good evening, Ms. Mifo. Oh, evening. Is now a good time? I'd like to discuss those two problem students of yours from earlier. She had been about to say she was busy and wanted to shut the door, but hearing it was about Furuashi and Ogata, she swallowed her words. After her expression changed and she bit her lip like she'd summoned all her courage, she replied, fine. See, come in. That embarrassed reluctance gave Rao a guess. Changing into the slippers she offered, he entered her apartment. As he took it all in, it was exactly the same chaos as the first time he'd visited. Ugh. Mifa wanted to dig a hole and hide. In her mortification, she tried explaining, as you know, I really have no skill at housekeeping. I'm completely useless. Admitting that nearly drove her to tears. Rao shook his head, sighing softly, Ms. Mifo, if this goes on, I fear you'll never get married. Huh? Is it that extreme? Mifa started to sweat bullets. Even Rao said so. Was she really doomed to remain single? It's highly likely, Rao replied, not just scaring her. In an actual marriage, a total inability to handle household tasks was rough. Maybe men would marry her for her beauty, but living day to day, conflicts might arise. Leading to divorce, or so he reasoned. Mifa felt her whole outlook dim. Then Rao unexpectedly said, I do know a guy who wouldn't mind your flaws. Should I introduce him? Eh? She blinked, not expecting that. He was offering to set her up. She'd just been told she'd never marry, part of her was anxious. But for a teacher's dignity, she tried to remain indifferent. Well, I don't have any interest in that sort of thing right now. Right? That's too bad. She'd thought he would persist or at least keep talking, but he just dropped it. Rao took in the clutter around him, apparently done with the topic. Mifa bit her lip, coughing slightly. Ahem. If you insist, you could give me his contact info. Rao looked back, narrowing his eyes. Didn't you say you didn't need it? I just didn't want to waste your kind offer, Mifa stuttered, unable to admit she'd really grown desperate for a possible marriage candidate. Noting her flustered heart, Rao didn't call her out. He gave her the contact. Mifo, who feigned indifference, recorded it quite seriously. Seeing that, Rao smiled. Yes, the man he was recommending indeed wouldn't mind her. But he was also sure to shock her. Chapter 227, Klutz, Fan Service. Ms. Mifo, could we tidy up the room before we talk? The mess makes it hard to focus. Because he really couldn't find anywhere to sit, Rao made that suggestion. All right. Gerasimitha also realized they couldn't have a proper conversation in such a disorderly state, so she got ready to clean up. Who would have thought that just as she lifted her foot? Hiya. Her expression turned horrified. She had stepped on a silk undergarment she had just taken off not long ago, lost her balance, and pitched forward. Right in front of her was Rao, who'd been standing there the whole time. Ugh. Afraid of colliding with Rao, Gerasimitha tried to change the angle of her fall, but that only made things worse. She ended up toppling over in a kneeling, half-prostrate position. Fortunately, Rao grabbed her arms, preventing her knees from hitting the floor. But Gerasimitha's head ended up buried right in Rao's crotch. A brief silence. Eek. realizing exactly what soft shape her cheek was pressed against. Separated only by clothing. Gerasimov shrieked and scrambled backward. Ms. Mifo, don't yell so loudly. It was just an accident, or else you make me out to be a criminal. Rael said helplessly. Gerasimova's pretty face was bright red. She stopped screaming but was too embarrassed to meet Rael's gaze. Ugh. I'll just clean up now. Unwilling to mention that humiliating scene just now, she resumed fumbling around in a panic. Since he was the one who'd almost taken damage, Rael didn't say much and simply started helping. However, Gerasimova was truly the ultimate klutz at housekeeping, also delivering fan service galore. She managed to display every variety of comedic, anime-like mishap, tripping one moment, accidentally revealing far too much. Oh no. The next moment, adopting some bizarre pose. Even plopping onto Rael's face with a whoops. Utterly champion-level klutz, while simultaneously providing Rael with bountiful benefits. At last, amid her panicked shrieking and frantic movements, the room was finally straightened up. Gerasimova ended up sitting on the sofa in a tight little ball, quiet as a child. No face left to show the world. She dearly wished for a hole in the ground to crawl into. Probably she'd never again be able to act dignified around Rael. Ms. Mifo, don't keep hiding there. Let's discuss the main matter. Enjoying all that fan service, Rael seemed in excellent spirits. Hearing that, Gerasimova glared at him angrily. You promised you'd forget everything that just happened. Alright, I'll format my memory. Especially the part where Ms. Mifo was wearing black underwear. I'll delete that. Rael's teasing was like a dagger to her heart. You. Gerasimova trembled even more violently. He remembered everything. She was so embarrassed she wanted to die. Just as she was about to explode, Rael slipped into a serious look, about Furuashi Fumino and Ogata Rizu wanting to learn from me. Actually, there might be a workable method. Gerasimova, her mind full of shame, paused. Her flushed eyes held some doubt. You mean you're willing to tutor them? No, I'm not. Huh? Rael's outright refusal left Gerasimova dumbfounded. Was he making a fool of her? But Rael continued, however, I do have a better way to fulfill their wishes. A better way? At my place, I have a younger sister who's extremely knowledgeable and very good at teaching. I can let her give it a try. Huh? Upon hearing that, Gerasimova severely suspected Rael was joking with her. That younger sister must be a student as well, right? How could she surpass Rael? Who's top in the entire grade? Seeing her evident skepticism, Rael calmly said, specifically, Ms. Mifo, you can experience it personally. Experience? A short while later, Rael brought Ilya to Gerasimova's apartment, letting Mifo try a sample lesson. Just 30 minutes left her stunned. Ilya not only showed a deep mastery of various subjects and their practical applications, she used crystal-clear logic to dissect them for Mifo's benefit. Even more astonishing, Gerasimova never lost focus once and listened wholeheartedly to Ilya's explanations. Although it was material Mifo had prepared countless times as a teacher, she found herself quickly learning something new. That was due to Ilya's tranquil mind-supportive magic, which thoroughly enhances concentration. It hadn't worked so well on Sora, but on ordinary humans, it was 100% effective. She's your sister? Gerasimova gawked at the small, refined, ladylike girl standing beside Rael. The lesson just now made her feel less like she was talking to a young teen and more like some highly experienced professor locked in a child's body. Yes, she's my younger sister. Though a little sister magic book spirit, she still counts as a sister. Gerasimova remained unsettled, asking, which school does your sister attend? A genius like that couldn't be unknown, presumably. She doesn't go to school. Huh? Not in school? Gerasimova was even more shocked. Before Rael could say more, Ilya spoke up, I don't need to attend school, as long as I can stay by Uni-sama's side. But Gerasimova felt it a dreadful waste and wanted to dissuade her, but Rael cut in, we're not short on money, Ms. Mifo. Ilya can do whatever she pleases, so it's all fine. Under such circumstances, she had nothing to say. Nonetheless, she was amazed by Ilya's genius. Your sister is indeed a genius. Rael smiled slightly, so, Ms. Mifo, how about letting her teach Furuashi and Ogata? Is that enough to satisfy you? Gerasimova answered earnestly, Ilya's ability is remarkable, very professional. Far beyond me. I think she can more than handle them. But those two are quite special. Even if Ilya can't make them progress, she shouldn't lose confidence. She worried that if Ilya also failed, she might feel discouraged. That concern was misplaced. Ilya only cared about her brother's opinion. Given Rael's instructions, she would do her best. Rael-kun, let's discuss tutoring fees and the method. After all, Gerasimova wasn't the type to skip financial issues just because they were her students. She chose to negotiate. They came up with an arrangement that Rao could minimally accept, which she'd present to Furuashi and Ogata, letting them decide on their own. Chapter 228, Dating Experience. Rao stroked his chin thoughtfully. As for the fee, let's just go with the standard rate for a private tutor. We're not short on money. And about the tutoring arrangement, Ilya doesn't want to go out, so they can come to my home if they have time. If Miss Mifo isn't at ease, you can come supervise. How's that? That works. Gerasimova felt it was acceptable. She herself lived nearby, so she could show up to supervise. Having her there would also give those two peace of mind. Alright, I'll tell them about this. Sorry to bother you with the request. My house is already lively enough. Having a few more folks doesn't make much difference. Thinking about how things were at home, enough people were there to start a party. So having a couple more didn't matter. Then that's settled. After Rao and Ilya left, Gerasimova gazed at the suddenly neat and quiet living room, her feelings complicated. A sense of loneliness and solitude gently rose in her. I'll go take a hot bath. She had indeed worked up a sweat while cleaning up. She undressed. Just as her fingers hooked the black lingerie, her mind couldn't help flashing back to that mortifying scene not long ago. At that time, how exactly had she stumbled in a way that ended up with her face in Rao's? Ugh! A fierce wave of embarrassment surged up all over her again. This time her entire body went red. How embarrassing. She pressed both hands to her face. A bigger surge of shame filled every inch of her body. Where's Futaba? Back at home, there was no sign of Futaba. Putting away some folded chairs, Mai glanced toward the bathroom. She's taking a bath. Oh. Rao's eyes flickered. Mai instantly caught that look and scolded, don't tell me you're thinking something indecent again? What's indecent? Didn't you feel loosened up each time it's over? And Mai, your skin and complexion look wonderful lately. Mai's cheeks flushed, annoyed. What's skin got to do with that? Hey, it absolutely matters. Mine contains certain energy, so on you, it nourishes the skin. An effective beauty treatment. TSK. Mai clicked her tongue at him. He alone could bring himself to say such shameless things. After a brief everyday bit of flirting with Mai, Rao sat down on the couch and closed his eyes, letting her gently massage his shoulders to help him relax. Moments later. Splash. Wearing just a towel, Futaba came out of the bathroom. Spotting Rao on the couch, she stiffened up in alarm. But Rao's eyes were closed. Mai put a finger to her lips, signaling Futaba not to make a sound. Futaba nodded gently and tiptoed away into the guest room. I wasn't asleep, you know. When the guest room door clicked shut, Rao opened his eyes. Humphrey, were you hoping to peek? Mai's hands pressed more firmly, reflecting the jealousy in her heart. Hey. He needed no peeking. If he wanted to see, that was easy enough. Tonight he planned to take the time to fully get to know Futaba better. Ding dong. The sudden phone ringtone interrupted his train of thought. Checking his screen, his eyebrows rose, and a grin formed. The expression of seeing something amusing. It was Gerasimova requesting to chat. Taking a bath under the bright overhead, Gerasimova sat on her sofa, wrestling with a dilemma. Should she give dating a try after all? The phone screen displayed the contact info Rao had left her. Supposedly for a man who won't mind her clumsy housekeeping. Recalling the times Rao had calmly helped her tidy the place, how reassuring and easy it felt, plus the unexpected closeness. Her mind was in turmoil. Am I really at that age now? She'd once devoted herself entirely to her work as a teacher, never worrying about romance. But ever since she got to know Rao, emotional ripples had begun. No. Rao and I can't possibly be anything. Our positions differ, plus there's Mai. Nibbling her lip, she hovered anxiously over the add contact button. Finally, she pressed it. Right after doing so, she regretted it. Arg, what am I even doing? She wanted to retract, but the other side had already accepted. What do I do? Nervous, she could hardly move. She had never in her life conversed with a man in a romantic context. Unknown, Mifo, hello. Unknown again. Gerasimova froze. He knew her name? Mifo, how do you know my name? Unknown, because I'm Rao? Gerasimova's mind thundered. Mifo, you're Rao? Rao, yes, that contact I gave you is actually mine. Mifo. A powerful shock made her breathing ragged. Mifo, are you just messing with me? Trying to fool me? She felt furious. Like she'd just been turned into a fool. Rao, no, I'm not. Mifo, then what is the meaning of all this? You. Plus you and Mai already. Gripping her phone, Gerasimova felt as if she'd discovered the guy she was starting to like was apparently a jerk. Rao, it's unrelated to that. But now I am quite interested in Miss Mifo. Mifo, You? Rao, me. Mifo, don't fool around. Rao, I'm not. Mifo, since you decided to add me, that means you do want someone dependable in your life, right? Mifo. That has nothing to do with you or with your situation with Mai. She typed, feeling stifled. Rao calmly responded, Rao, true, it's none of my business, but I'm quite interested in being teacher to Ms. Mifo. Mifo? You want to be my teacher now? Role reversal to the max. Rao, yes. I'm someone who sees your true nature. If you really do want a boyfriend, you can gain some dating experience from me. And I can help you make a change. Mifo, dating experience. A change. She lacked both. And these were precisely what she needed. Chapter 229, Love Mentor, Static, Migration. Gerasimifo, how would we do that? Asked right at her sore spot, Gerasimifo subconsciously posed the question. Rao, put aside your position as a teacher and treat me like a man when we talk. Rao, as for changing yourself, let me help you alter your habits in life, how about that? Gerasimifo, that. She did not want to abandon her teacher identity and see Rao as a man. Yet her mind involuntarily recalled that shape her cheek had bumped into. Likely a sign of a truly grown man's maturity. But he seemed far too mature. Gerasimifo's face burned bright red, her breathing quickening. Gerasimifo, sigh, are you sure you can make me into someone other people like? Rao, not entirely sure, but there's no harm in trying. Gerasimifo, fine. Fine. Then what do I say now? Why are you smiling so wickedly? Noticing the sinister curl of Rao's mouth, Sakurajima got the sense he was up to no good. Haha. Nothing much. I just remembered something interesting. Becoming Gerasimifo's love mentor was indeed a fascinating prospect. Conquering the fortress like Mifo's heart would need some special methods. It would have to happen little by little. He put away his phone, and Mai, picking up on his mood, pressed her palms lightly against his shoulders. Take a rest. I'll go shower first. Mai intended to bathe. Just as she walked to the bathroom, she noticed Rao not heading for their usual bedroom but the spare bedroom instead. Huh? Under her curious gaze, Rao knocked on the spare room door. Very soon, Futaba opened it, and he stepped boldly inside. Click. The moment the door closed behind him, Mai finally realized. Futaba, were you waiting for me like this? Rao smiled, taking in Futaba's shapely figure wrapped in just a bath towel. Truly tear open the packet and eat convenient. Yes. Futaba bowed her head, embarrassed. Even though she was the outgoing personality, she was still mortified right now. After a few seconds, Rao saw how shy she was and teased, seems like you were really waiting. All done bathing? She fidgeted, nodding. Rao-kun, are we officially dating now? Because earlier they only had a kiss but no absolute confirmation, Futaba felt uneasy, worried that their relationship was unclear. She softly asked, voiced so small that Rao didn't immediately respond. Futaba grew more apprehensive, but was about to speak again when Rao, a man of action, simply moved in. He embraced her, giving her a true answer with a kiss. Futaba froze at the suddenness but soon responded enthusiastically, hugging him firmly, as if trying to fuse into his body. In a matter of moments, they had made their way to the bed. Rao smiled, Futaba, do you know the phrase tear open the pack and eat immediately? And no idea. Futaba, flustered all over, trembled in her eyelashes. Then let me teach you. Meanwhile at Futaba Ryo's own house, inside a steamy bathroom, Futaba Ryo, the original, soaking in the tub, letting out a long sigh. She had inspected the whole place, nothing seemed out of order. The outward Futaba hadn't done anything bizarre to raise family suspicions. She'd gotten her room and identity back, so by all logic she ought to be happy. Yet somehow Futaba Ryo just could not feel happy. Emptiness. Living in that other house only a few days had already let her experience a wealth of unimaginable things, plus the noisy bustle and lively atmosphere she'd never had in her solitary life. Now the silent house. Oh, it lacked Toru and the others chattering. So that was why it felt empty. Will I be living there permanently? Futaba Ryo found herself imagining. Then she blinked, huh? Her brow creased. Lifting an arm above the water, her damp fingers brushed over her lips. A faint tingle, an inexplicable static shock-like flutter jolted her. Static electricity? That notion had barely formed when... Suddenly, the tingle was more than on her lips, it spread to her tongue, to inside her mouth. She jolted upright, fighting the urge to stand. But as soon as she tried, wah! A rush of peculiar sensations shot through her body, so overwhelming that her knees went weak, and she slumped back into the bathtub. She was seeing something bizarre happen to her reflection beneath the water. Ugh! Futaba Ryo pressed her mouth firmly shut, or else she might have moaned at the intense wave of pain and fleeting pleasure. Confusion coursed through her mind. Where was this stimulation coming from? Her cheeks glowed fiercely, her breathing ragged. It felt like some kind of disease. Was something inside her body being triggered? Yet no known illness caused illusions like being touched so intimately from a distance. In the midnight forest, typically so silent, the ground quaked as chaos reigned. Beasts and magical creatures stampeded, braying into the night. Large swaths of animals and monsters all fleeing at once, as if from something. The entire forest lost its usual tranquility. Up in midair, Aizawa Shizu peered curiously at the scene below. Are these beasts migrating? She was uncertain. Could it be they were escaping from some threat? So interesting, commented Velzard, scanning the distant darkness with a keen glint in her eye. Yet Velgrind snorted in annoyance. What's so interesting about it? Just a demon lord creature causing an uproar, disturbing my rest. Let me just wipe it out. Chapter 230, Traini Demon King. Seed? Velzard shook her head. Not yet. It's merely a higher-ranked demon stirring up trouble. However, that fellow does indeed have the potential to evolve into a demon king. Seed. Huh? Aizawa Shizu was full of question marks in her head. She had no idea what the other two were talking about. 3 honored ones, please save this forest. Suddenly, a green silhouette appeared in front of the trio. And you are? She was a mature woman dressed in green clothes with twigs and leaves. Her appearance made Shizu rather puzzled. She's a tree dryad. Several days ago, she was already observing you from afar, Velzard said calmly. Merely, since this tree dryad was quite weak and showed no hostility, neither she nor Velgrind had bothered to pay attention. High-level forest being a tree-person race? Shizu had some impression. It was an extremely rare species. The woman bowed politely. Honored ones, my name is Traini. I am a tree dryad entrusted with guarding this forest. One of its caretakers. No need to call me a honored one. My name is Aizawa Shizu. You can just call me Shizu. Understood. Shizu-sama, Traini said respectfully, not daring to show any irreverence. She sensed the trio's powerful aura, so each one of them was far beyond her. Shizu felt a bit awkward. If you must. Realizing Traini wanted to plead for help, Shizu asked directly. You just said, save this forest? Judging from the chaos, what exactly happened? Traini answered gravely, not long ago, tens of thousands of orc soldiers rushed into the great forest, marching like a terrifying army. Every creature in their path is devoured, not even the bones remain. If this continues, the entire forest's living beings will be wiped out. Hey. So they're just orcs, that sort of low-ranked race. Velgrin gave a dismissive snort. If this forest can't even handle orcs, perhaps it deserves destruction. Survival of the fittest. That's natural law. All these fleeing beasts were making noise that disturbed her sleep, which left her quite displeased, but she did not see how it was her problem. Traini pleaded desperately. Honored ones, I beg of you. Save this forest. I am prepared to offer everything I have. Velgrin yawned loudly. I have no interest. I'm going back to sleep now. Humans say we must get enough rest to keep our skin glossy and soft. Honored one. Traini tried to beg her again, but Velgrin did not even glance back. Velzard stood aside watching idly. This little forest caretaker was too insignificant to matter. The pair had no reason to get involved. Only Shizu, whose heart was kinder, took a long look at Traini's resolve, her eyes flickering with a strange gleam. Actually, I think it might be worth considering. Huh? Traini had not responded yet, but Velzard and Velgrind looked baffled. They knew Shizu was good-natured, yet didn't think she was such a meddler. Seeing the pair's confusion, Shizu discreetly gestured to them. Soon, they realized what Shizu intended. Inside the chat group, Shizu sent a message. Aizawa Shizu, Rayao, are you there? We have a bizarre situation here. Seeking Rayao? That surprised Velzard and Velgrind. They exchanged glances, waiting to see Shizu's plan. Rayao responded. Rayao, what strange matter? Go ahead. Leaning on his bed, Rayao gave the still sleeping Futaba a glance, then replied to Shizu's DM. Shizu explained. Aizawa Shizu, we're in a forest where something happened. According to Velzard and Velgrind, it involves a demon king. Seed or a high-level demon. Rayao, in that case, can't your two companions handle it easily? From Rayao's viewpoint, any non-true demon lord level threats should be trivial for the two dragons. Shizu, yes, but they have no interest in helping. Bujujimisuko, meaning that, for them, it's irrelevant? Shizu, exactly. Suko, so why bring it up to Rayao? Shizu, I suspect Rayao might be interested. A dryad wants to beg us for help and is willing to offer everything. Frieren, oh. A trade, I see. Shizu, yes, basically. Picture attached. Sharing trainee's image to the chat. Akam, so she's not human? Friren, beautiful, exuding a sense of nature. Shizu, she's trainee, a dryad in charge of this great forest. Stella, looks exactly like the sort of woman Rao would fancy. Some exotic beauty, right? Rao, she's a forest caretaker. Definitely a graceful type. Stella, as expected, a lecher. But Rao was not worried about accusations. He recognized trainee's identity from another storyline. She should have ended up begging Rimuru for help in a certain scenario. Now she'd encountered Shizu's group first. He was indeed somewhat intrigued. Rao-kun, you're not asleep yet? Murmured Futaba, stirring against his chest, still connected by a charger. She hadn't woken fully. He gently smoothed her hair. I have some urgent matters that need me to go out. Keep resting, okay? An urgent matter? Something I can help with? If so, just tell me. She offered. But Rao only smiled and shook his head. Meanwhile, in the forest, Velzard and Velgrin saw Shizu quietly conversing in the chat group. Realizing Shizu wanted Rao's involvement, they made no comment. If Rao took an interest, so be it, they wouldn't interfere. Rao typed, Rao, alright, I'll come over. Let that dryad know I'll handle it. Send me a direct trade request. She can pay via body use rights or something else. Body use rights was Rao's typical catchphrase in the group for a transactions exchange. Everyone was used to it. But trainee, the dryad, had no clue. Shizu told her about a chat group, telling her that if she wanted Rao's help, she must initiate a transaction. Sure enough, trainee cried tears of joy, wholeheartedly consenting. Chapter 231, Doubled, and Sacrifices. Rao picked up on Futaba's desire to help. After considering and seeing no real danger, Rao nodded and said, alright, put your clothes on. Next, I'll tell you what to do. The charger was disconnected. Futaba, cheeks flushed a deep red, quickly began to get dressed. Rao was not idle, either. Rao, Shizu, please initiate the trade. I'm going to catch a quick nap. Aizawa Shizu, alright. Ding. Aizawa Shizu has initiated a trade request, trade content, give her a hug. Ding. Please select your trade terms. This trade content clearly showed Shizu's inner longing. Looks like once we get over there, I'll have to take good care of Shizu, Rao mused, a slight smile appearing on his lips. Before long. Ding. Trade begins, trade partner, Aizawa Shizu, trade content, give her a hug. Trade terms, usage rights of the body once, duration, 24 hours. Meanwhile, Futaba had already finished putting on her clothes. Apart from standing a bit awkwardly, she still looked breathtaking, showing no trace of her previous wild demeanor. Rao nodded and said, just follow the prompts and agree, then I'll take you to see the scenery of another world. Ding. You have chosen the chat group's subgroup to grant a target, Futaba Rio, ding. You have selected Futaba Rio as the target to bring across worlds. Futaba felt sudden, strange knowledge flooding her mind. Even though she was shocked, she still carefully followed Rao's instructions and chose agree. Buzz. The two of them disappeared from the room in unison. Futaba Rio's bedroom. For reasons unknown, Futaba Rio's body felt as though someone had used it, leaving her sprawled messily on the bed. The ragged rise and fall of her chest gradually eased as she drifted into a deep sleep. But now. Futaba Rio furrowed her brow. She sensed a flood of information pouring into her head, and strange prompts echoed in her mind. Her eyelids fluttered, she was just about to open her eyes. Great Forest of Jura trainee watched the three silent individuals before her, feeling extremely anxious. She had no idea what answer she might receive. If they kept on hesitating, the forest would be doomed. She was about to speak up again when she froze, stunned. Before her eyes, two people appeared out of thin air. No. Make that three people. Another person appeared sideways in midair, then began to fall. Rao reacted swiftly, catching her just in time. The sudden sense of weightlessness and the feeling of being held snapped the half-asleep Futaba Rio wide awake. She opened her eyes to see Rao holding her. Her gaze, still laced with lingering allure, was filled with confusion. Rao himself was taken aback. He now had one Futaba Rio in his arms. And another Futaba Rio standing right beside him, equally puzzled. That look in her eyes was so similar to the way Futaba looked back when they were exercising. But she wasn't Futaba. She was Futaba Rio. Futaba exclaimed in surprise. Another me is here too? Frowning, Rao turned to the bewildered Futaba Rio and asked. Do you suddenly have a lot of new information in your head? Futaba Rio silently nodded. From that, Rao had a rough idea of what was happening. He glanced at his own world's chat group and saw just one newcomer named Futaba Rio. Now there were two separate Futaba Rios, but they were ultimately one person. The chat group also counted them as a single individual. Hence, they shared the same slot in the group. Because Futaba was brought here, Futaba Rio was pulled along with her. They were the same person. TSK. Now it was Rao's turn to get a headache. Could you put me down first? Futaba Rio asked. Alright. He set her on her feet. Strangely, her legs buckled, mirroring Futaba's awkward posture. Rao noticed this detail but assumed she was just frightened. Futaba Rio studied her breathing and glanced at the dark forest around them. Velzard approached and studied the pair curiously. One person with two identical bodies. How peculiar. She and Vel grinned, with their keen senses, could easily see what made these two Futaba Rios special. Folding his arms, Velgrin speculated. One soul in two bodies? Aizawa Shizu, however, was focused on the main issue. Rao, this is Traini. She wants to ask us for help in saving this forest. Rao nodded. He could confirm that Traini was indeed the very person he remembered. Traini trembled slightly. She lowered her head wearily, sensing that this newly arrived human was tremendously powerful. Rao signaled Futaba and Rio not to fret, then turned to Traini and said calmly. Go ahead. Tell me about the situation you're facing right now. Yes, sir. Well, the forest. Traini, straightforward and honest, explained the menace of the Orc tribe's army. She only knew the part that concerned the tribe itself, there was more she did not. All of this was set in motion by a certain higher demon, Velzard added. The leader of the Orc tribe is currently evolving. He carries within him the power to advance into a demon lord, Velu Velgrin said with obvious displeasure. That guy who woke me up is likely trying to create a demon lord species, maybe even turn him into a true demon lord. Traini was horrified. Attempting to create a demon lord. How terrifying. Rao was momentarily surprised. This scenario felt strangely familiar. The Orc Lord. It was exactly the same situation, the Orc Lord leading a massive Orc army to devour the great forest of Jura, all in order to become a demon lord and rule it. Velzard, looking unusually serious, reminded him. Rao, it's not so simple. Velu Velgrin put away his irritation and said. Yeah. A mere high-level demon trying to create a demon lord. Nobody would believe it if we told them. I know. Rao nodded, fully aware. There's a demon lord's influence behind it? Traini was stunned. A demon lord was behind this conspiracy? But why? Of course, it was because of the great forest of Jura. Right now, several demon lords were fighting for control over it. Their plan was to let the Orc Lord become the Orc Demon Lord. A Orc Demon Lord naturally wouldn't be too bright, and a newly minted Demon Lord wouldn't be very strong. That made him easy to manipulate. In order to bring about the birth of the Orc Demon Lord, the entire great forest of Jura had been turned into a sacrificial pawn. Chapter 232, No Threat. Futaba and Rio were both in the dark about what was going on with the others. From the information they got in the chat group, they only knew that they had arrived in another world. A genuine, different world. Just looking at Traini before their eyes, with branches swaying around her and a rich natural aura, was enough to show them how peculiar life forms in this other world could be. They forced down their shock. The two exchanged glances. For some reason, both of them felt something strange. Now fully awake, Rio was also reflecting on the odd things that had happened to her that day. Starting from when she was bathing, it felt like she was being assaulted by someone. Even after she rushed back to her room under intense sensations, her body still wouldn't settle down. That phantom pain and illusory pleasure left her bewildered. She even had a horrifying thought that maybe she had been attacked by some invisible person. But rationally analyzing it, she dismissed that possibility. She pressed her legs together slightly. The sticky feeling still present inside her pajamas made her very uncomfortable. It was left over from when she collapsed in exhaustion and fell asleep, and she hadn't had a chance to clean up. She had no idea that Futaba, standing nearby, felt just as uncomfortable. The difference was that Futaba knew exactly what had happened. The two of them kept silent, neither planning to tell the other what they'd gone through. Meanwhile, my lord. Traini pursed her lips and spoke. Please, save the great forest of Jura. As the forest's caretaker, I promise I will pledge my eternal loyalty to you. Once she heard there was a demon lord behind everything, Traini realized this was absolutely beyond her ability to handle. She had to take responsibility now. There were still many of her kin in the forest. There are many tree sprites, but not all of them are treant type. Only the treant type can walk on their own. Most tree sprites' bodies are literally trees, and they cannot move at all. If the great forest of Jura were ravaged, they, too, would suffer. Rayao looked at Trainee's pleading face and saw her personal information: name, Trainee, level, 18, ability, trio type. Then let's make a deal, Rayao said with a grin. A deal? Thinking she needed to offer payment, Trainee once again pledged. I'm willing to give anything. I know. But our trades work in a rather special way. Ding. You have chosen to add target Trainee to the chat group's subgroup, eh? Knowledge flooded into her mind, but it didn't cause a headache. She digested it quickly and understood Rayao's identity. A powerful being from another world. Let's start the trade now. Trainee didn't hesitate and immediately initiated a trade request. Ding. Trainee has initiated a trade request, trade content, save the Great Forest of Jura, ding. Please select your trade terms. Trainee herself wasn't strong. She only really had her racial bloodline, the trio type. Rayao wasn't particularly interested in that bloodline, so he simply chose to take her in. Ding. Your trade request has been accepted. Trade terms, unlimited bodily usage rights, ding. Confirmed trade? As the forest's caretaker, Trainee was wise enough to realize what this trade signified. It wasn't just a simple pledge of loyalty. Yet she still made her decision quickly. The Great Forest of Jura's predicament left her no time to waver. Ding. Trade begins. Trade partner, Trainee, trade content, save the Great Forest of Jura, trade terms, unlimited bodily usage rights, duration, 24 hours in the chat group, Fryron, Humphrey, just as I suspected. Rayao is in another world making trades again. Sakobujujima, it looks like this Trainee person needs to strike a deal. Yamagawa, I just wonder what's happening that made it come to this. Akam, saving a forest, huh? Sounds like a wildfire. Fryron, impossible. Fryron, Rayao, can we watch a live stream this time? Rayao, Humphrey, if you want to watch, why not come over here yourselves? Fryron, hey, you don't get it, watching a stream is lots of fun, seeing it in person just doesn't give the same thrill. Fryron, image, she sent a picture of herself wearing a white silk nightgown, seated on the edge of a bed. In front of her was a small table with snacks and juice on top. She wore a brilliant, expectant smile. The look of someone getting ready for a movie night at home. Sakobujujima, true. Sai and the others have been looking forward to it, too. Akam, same here, mine and the others are all in my room. Rayao. Fine. Shizu, I'll leave the live stream to you. Aizawa Shizu, got it. Ding. Aizawa Shizu has started the live stream. Velzard looped her arm around Rayao's, curiosity sparkling in her eyes. You plan to recruit her, and for that you'd challenge a demon lord? She didn't believe Rayao would do all this just for a single body. Although the Trian's figure and looks were indeed quite appealing. Velgrand raised her slender fist proudly. Demon lord, or what not. If they dare come, I'll beat them. Trainee stiffened. Just hearing them talk like that made it clear none of these people feared a demon lord in the slightest. It also provided quite a bit of insight. If they treated a demon lord with such disdain, pledging her loyalty to Rayao might not be such a bad thing. If they ended up ruling the Great Forest of Jura, it would be under the protection of powerful beings. Well, if someone's willing to serve, I'm happy to accept. Rayao was indeed lustful by nature. He followed his desires. But he wasn't reckless. Not only was he himself no weakling, but he also had Velzard and Velgrand, who were far stronger than most demon lords. More importantly, he held a trump card, Demon Lord. He had a hunch that a demon lord status in this world would manifest truly formidable might. So even if a demon lord showed up, he wouldn't be afraid. Besides, if the worst happened, he could still rely on the chat group to take everyone and leave. Futaba, Rio, stay close to me. He didn't have time to explain everything to them for now, so he'd simply keep them safe at his side. Futaba? Rio? Hearing those names said back to back, Futaba Rio was momentarily confused. He's using two different names to tell them apart. Seeing Futaba silently step forward, Rio followed. Since she didn't know anything about this world, she was being cautious. And from the looks of the chat group messages and the group's conversation, something major was about to happen next. Chapter 233, Geld and Gelmud, outskirts of the Great Forest of Jura. What are those? An army? But they don't look human at all. Akam, they appear to be pig-like humanoids. Sakobujujima, in Aizawa's world, they seem to be classified as monsters. Mabel, wah. All of you are still awake in the middle of the night? Mabel, and this live stream? Yug, it's as disgusting as goblins. Stella, what's a goblin? Yukino Shita Yukino, in our world, it's a type of fictional green-skinned monster that's filthy and hideous. Mabel, same for our world too. Mabel. Wait. Yukino, have you been sleeping? Yukino Shita Yukino. Mabel had just woken up because she needed to use the bathroom. She had just stepped out of her room and bumped into Yukino, who was also wearing pajamas and had just emerged from her bedroom. Mabel blinked. "Yukino, do you need to use the bathroom too?" Yukino Shita didn't want to answer her. Her face icy, she just gave a small nod. Should I go first? Or you?" Mabel asked cautiously. "You, stop dawdling." Without even noticing, Yukino Shita's voice turned cold as ice. "Alright already." Being someone who was basically looked after, Mabel didn't dare argue. She hurried into the bathroom. Before long, the sound of rushing water could be heard. Yukino Shita frowned and distracted herself with the chat group. After seeing the live stream, she lost much of her previous irritation. Those monsters also piqued her curiosity. Aizawa Shizu, these are likely the monsters known as the Orc tribe, which threaten the great forest of Jura. Through the live stream, they could see what Rao and the others were looking at. Below them, in the forest now stripped almost bare of foliage, was a fearsome-looking army. The soldiers were not human but rather pig-headed humanoids wearing armor and wielding weapons, orcs. They were all members of the Orc tribe. More than 200,000 of them, lined up in neat, silent rows. They were the cause of all the animals and monsters in the great forest of Jura fleeing in every direction. This entire outskirts region was already under their control. All living things had been devoured by the Orc tribe's army. The place had been turned into a wasteland of death. At the center of the Orc tribe's vast forces stood one individual whose massive size set him apart from the rest, a giant pig head well over several meters tall. His physique was huge and muscular, his bulging muscles covered in thick, intimidating veins. His enormous tusks gleamed with a terrifying light. He could no longer be called just a Orc tribe member, for this chieftain was in the midst of evolving into a demon lord-type being. Orc lord, one might call him. Excellent, excellent. Geld, prepare to continue the march. Devour every living thing you encounter. A sharp voice echoed in the Orc lord's ears. The speaker was a person floating beside the Orc lord, wearing a tailcoat, a tall top hat, holding a staff, and wearing a bird-like mask that covered his face. He was tiny compared to the giant pighead. In other words, imagine, higher demon. He was Gelmud, a high Magan who had struck a deal with the Orc Lord, granting him the name Geld and the power to evolve. The Orc Lord's evolution had progressed more smoothly than Gelmud could have hoped. Leading his army deeper into the great forest of Jura, Gelmud was sure it wouldn't be long before the Orc Lord fully evolved into a demon lord type. At that point, Gelmud's mission would be complete. Obey my orders. Become a demon lord type as quickly as possible. Gelmud tapped the Orc Lord's head with his staff. Begin. Let the gluttonous feast commence. At the command, the Orc Lord Geld's eyes glowed crimson. He had nearly lost all sense of reason, left only with an almost slave-like obedience to Gelmud's power and a singular drive, to evolve into a demon lord type as soon as possible. Huh? Suddenly, Gelmud noticed something odd. He lowered his gaze and saw that his body was clamped in the Orc Lord's massive right hand. Just as he turned in confusion, about to demand an explanation, crack. Darkness swallowed Gelmud's vision. Squelch. Blood sprayed in a massive arc as the Orc Lord bit off Gelmud's upper body. In one loud slurp, all the blood was sucked into his mouth. The Orc Lord thus devoured the very high Magan. Gelmud. Who had created and empowered him. This scene shocked not only Futaba and Ryan, who were watching from the sky, but also everyone in the chat group. Friren, what just happened? Weren't that person and the giant pig on the same side? Why did the pig suddenly devour its ally? Stella, he ate a person. Rao, he wasn't human, he was a high Magan. Stella, whether it's a human or a Magan, why did that big pig monster sneak attack and eat his own ally? Rao, he devoured that Magan to become stronger. Sakobujujima, devoured. Rao, simply put, by eating, he gains power. That's connected to his special abilities. Rao's eyes glinted. Because Gelmud had ordered him to become a demon lord type as soon as possible, the Orc Lord's remaining scrap of reasoning told him that devouring a high Magan was the fastest way to reach that goal. Generally, when a monster devours another Magan or monster, it doesn't mean much. But he's different. The Orc Lord, leader of the Orc tribe, referred to as the Beastman King, is a special individual among his kind. He appears once every few centuries, possessing formidable powers of leadership and combat. Under his rule, the Orc tribe rapidly expands into a catastrophic force. More importantly, he wields two unique skills. Starved and corrode and consume. Starved causes the entire pighead tribe to be consumed by hunger, increasing their combat strength and aggression, and even influencing their evolution to become closer to a demon lord. Starved can influence his entire army, allowing them to inherit the abilities of any prey they consume. This doesn't just mean magical energy and skills, but also physical traits. In other words, after devouring lizardmen, the orc tribe could potentially grow new feet adapted for moving freely in mud, as well as scales for protecting their bodies. Chapter 234, Orc Lord. The starved skill also has an indirect effect. It keeps the orc army in a constant state of hunger. Under this condition, they no longer fear death. All they do is act on their urge to fill their stomachs. To them, the death of an ally or an enemy just means a fresh source of meat. But devouring this food does not sate their hunger, it only makes them stronger. This is one of the reasons the orc army has been so overwhelmingly powerful in the Jura Great Forest. Not only does starved allow the orc lord to recover instantly from injuries, but it also grants the same ability to his 200,000 strong army. In other words, the orc lord and his forces are practically immortal in battle. So long as they're still breathing, they can rapidly regenerate. The skill corrode and consume is what drives the orc lord to devour the Magian. This ability enables him to consume anything, including his own kin. Not only does it boost his strength, it also allows his army to grow without limit. During combat, the orc lord can keep devouring enemies or his own fallen allies to continually enhance his own power. After Rao explained these two abilities, the chat group was stunned. Friren, my assessment is that this is a fearsome war machine. Just those two skills can transform hundreds of thousands of troops into an invincible engine of war. Truly staggering. If the demon lord in her own world possessed such power, humanity would likely stand no chance against the demons. Yukino Shita Yukino, aren't you going to stop him? He looks like he's getting bigger. Sukobujujima, that's quick. He's already starting to evolve? Aizawa Shizu? I've never seen a monster like this, either. Rao, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. He didn't mind waiting for that creature to complete its evolution. Once it had fully powered up, defeating it would yield even more experience. As long as it couldn't surpass him or Velzard and Velgrund, it was just a big sack of XP. A high Magian's body contains enormous stores of magic energy. At the instant the orc lord consumed his prey, boom. A massive surge of black-red magic energy engulfed him completely. Thump, thump, thump. A thunderous heartbeat echoed. That black-red aura radiated outward, assimilating the orc army. In an instant, the once still orc warriors went berserk, eyes gleaming blood red, saliva dripping from their mouths in ravenous hunger. Yug. With a frenzied roar, the orc lord emerged from the swirling magic energy, his body further refined and radiating an even more oppressive aura. He had evolved. Now, the orc lord had truly become a demon lord type. The orc demon lord. Monster, orc demon lord Geld, level 38, abilities, starved, corrode and consume. How interesting. The servant has eaten its master, murmured Velgrund and Velzard from midair, clearly intrigued by this turn of events. Even she was surprised that the pawn had, because of a poorly phrased order, killed and devoured its own master to evolve. What a dramatic reversal. Futaba and Rio were both dumbfounded at the sight of tens of thousands of these inhuman monsters below. It was their first time seeing a completely non-human creature, and they couldn't tell if they felt fear or curiosity. It seems not stronger now, Traini said worriedly. That's right. After devouring a high Magian, it's become a true Demon Lord type, Rao replied, eyes gleaming. This world's concept of evolution really did have its merits. Of course, one needed special opportunities or abilities to achieve it. In the original sense, the subordinates who gained Rimuru blessing kept evolving as Rimuru grew stronger, each one eventually surpassing or nearing the calamity level. Now, this orc Demon Lord was indeed Demon Lord class. But only a newly ascended one, putting its power at roughly calamity level. In this world, power levels tend to follow certain standards, broadly determined by strength and magic energy. They range from F rank up to special S rank in ascending order. F rank, nearly no combat ability. E rank, weaker than an ordinary adult. D rank, could threaten multiple people's lives at once. C rank, stronger than a typical trained soldier. B rank, capable of destroying a village alone. Beyond that, there are specific threat designations. Disaster class, A rank, poses a severe danger level, potentially causing catastrophic damage to towns. Catastrophe class, special A rank. Due to the secret manipulations of high Magians or high-ranking demons, entire nations may face collapse. Calamity class, S rank, typically refers to demon lords. Small countries cannot handle this threat, great nations must commit whole resources. Super calamity, special S rank, refers to certain extremely powerful demon lords and dragonkind. A single kingdom cannot withstand them alone, the survival of an entire race may be at stake, requiring total isolation or joint alliances. Humans, demons, monsters, and dragons each have their own progression. Humans, immortal grade, saint grade, divine grade. Monsters, monster, demon lord type, awakened demon lord. Demons, lesser demon, high demon general, demon duke. The orc demon lord's power was at calamity level, basically the weakest sort of demon lord. He had only just evolved, after all. Want me to wipe this thing out with a single breath of dragon fire? Velgrind offered eagerly. She felt a mere calamity level threat wasn't even worthy to tie her shoes. She was a dragon, after all. No need. I'll go deal with it myself. You just keep an eye on these two, Rao said, gesturing toward Futaba and Rio. With that, he descended straight down. In the blink of an eye, he stood before the orc demon lord. The orc demon lord, upon seeing Rao, made no immediate move. But the surrounding orcs quickly closed ranks around their leader.